Hello, my name's Bill Burr, and I feel good about being Conan O'Brien's friend, but I feel this is a little red flag that he might be a little narcissist, that I got to fucking say why I'm his friend every time. I feel like I've already answered this question.
You've done it, and you'll continue to do it. I'm called a bottomless hole. There's no filling this. You can every time you're going to have to repeat.
Gee, what is that like?
You couldn't possibly understand, Bill, could you?
I am fully ready to retire. I've had enough. It finally filled me up.
I don't think that's possible.
No, it isn't.
You and I have a special connection. I really believe that. We're both gingers.
Yes.
We both grew up
unsightly from the Massachusetts area. We're sort of with a spice in the stew. That's what the gingers are. We can't be next to each other. Like, we're only allowed, L.A. County only allows us to hang out once a year and have a dinner. It's like,
there's only two of us that are allowed to be together. Two gingers from the Boston area that are incredibly a weird mixture of bitterness, right? That has, I mean...
I would have gone with anger first, but okay, we'll go bitterness, anger, confused.
I hide my anger, I think, or have in the past. Don't I hide it better than Bill?
Oh, God.
But
it's children, don't I hide it when I'm smacking you in the station wagon? Agree with all my points, or there will be a discussion afterwards.
But Sona, you've seen, and Matt, you guys have seen up close the Beast, right? You've seen the Beast.
We have.
But for many years on television, I was a, quote, good guy. But there was a Bill Burr inside me. Always.
Yeah, I think there is.
Why do you got to put your anger on me? I had nothing to do with you and whatever happened to you.
How do we know?
Huh?
How do we know? We were in the same era. I know you're younger than me, but
you were older than me and you were always taller. So, I mean, if anything happened, it was you. You threw the ice ball at me or socked me down at Fitzy's. Something happened. Stole the stereo out of my fucking shitbox car. What do radio thieves do now?
I don't know.
I don't know what they do. You gotta take the whole dashboard out. You're just walking around with this odd-shaped iPad. Has anybody got a 2023 Mercedes? Dude, back in the day, you could steal a stereo and fit in everybody's fucking car. Another job lost to AI.
Do you go back to reunions and things like that?
A high school reunion?
I don't know if I told you this, but I went back to one of mine years ago, a high school reunion, and I was doing the late night show, well-known person. I go back, and this guy comes up to me, and he goes, hey, Conan, remember the time that you and me busted into that liquor store down by the point? And we stole all that booze, but the cops came in, we both took off, and you went left and I went right, and you got all the booze, and then you drank it yourself. And I'm listening, I'm like, you have the wrong guy.
Right.
I have never had a parking violation in my life. I didn't drink until I was like 26. He's got the wrong guy, but he inserted me into his story, and I thought, I bet that happens to you. Unless, no, you were probably the guy that was stealing.
I don't understand how someone doesn't. Was it that 6'4" ginger, or how many of you? How many of you were out there?
Right. Yeah, there was that guy I went to high school with who looked like Jane Lynch.
I couldn't remember.
I think I committed a crime with him.
No, I went to high school with I had a really cool grade. Like everybody, it was funny. It was sort of like. Everybody by my senior year, everybody was sort of collectively partying with each other. So there wasn't you had the cliques, the jocks, you had the people that took wood shop, the burnouts or whatever, and then just the background people like me. And then by the end of it, we used to go down this place, Dan Road, which was this industrial park that was slowly being built, taking over the woods or anything. Mm-hmm. But they had all of these dirt roads back there and these burnt up cars for insurance and shit. We used to drive down there and drink. And every weekend, the party just kept getting bigger and bigger. And everybody was sort of high and drunk and just kind of got along with each other. So I've only been to one high school reunion. I went to my 25th and I had a great time. But,
good.
But because I do stand-up, I go around and I run in, a lot of people come out to my shows. So I kind of have this never-ending sort of high school reunion, which is cool. When they hit me up or whatever, I always end up talking to them backstage and shit, and then get freaked out about how old their kids are versus mine. But
that's right. You got young kids.
Yep, 8 and 4.5.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are in their late 50s. My children, they have sciatica.
No, you started a little bit late too, and I'm still way behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're way behind me.
Why do you have athletic? Why do you have athletic soles on your wingtips? I just noticed.
You never know.
I just noticed that.
These are beautiful.
You know,
wingtip shoes.
I don't know what it is.
I'm going to take these off now. These are beautiful wingtip shoes. And then at the bottom, they just have a little, like a rubber grip.
Yeah, in case a pickup game of hoop. He just can take off his tie. All right.
Well, you never know. You never know what
You're
might
tall.
happen.
Someone would pick you on the team. All right.
Does this look absurd to all of you? Oh wait, thank you, sir. Thank you for leaping to my defense. That whole group over there still thinks it looks stupid. I think
he did too. He just wants to be your friend. There was too much emotion. You think this looks stupid? He's like, no. It's like it didn't require that level. We're talking about souls that should have been. Nah, it's fine. That's where it should have been.
Well, anyway,
Gold toe socks.
I'm a banker.
What are you, a sitcom dad in the 50s? Honey, I'm home.
Hello,
I got a new company car.
Listen,
it's great to be white.
I say that every morning when I wake up, as all white people do.
Yeah. Hey, you know that non-white people, the government gives us free gold-toed socks once a month just for being white. They just fucking hand them out. Remember us come election time.
There have been times when those socks got me through some really rough periods when Uncle Sam sends them my way.
Makes you feel successful.
It does, actually. I feel good about these shoes.
When your wife makes a good point, do you take off your shoes and point to your socks? Just be like, do you think every guy walks around with these? Huh? Gold on his toes.
You think that's how I win arguments with my wife? You think that's
what I'm down to?
You point to something you're wearing that you're proud of to win an argument with your wife?
I get along great with my wife now. I just basically, I don't die on every hill now. I just go, all right, even if it makes no fucking sense to me. I just think like, you know what? It's just gonna be an argument. I'm gonna give in, and then we're gonna do this dumb shit anyway. So why not just act like I want to do it, And it keeps the peace. I slowly die inside, but as we're doing it, I don't need you to act like you care.
You know what? Honestly, I don't really.
Yeah. I know. So
yeah.
You sounded like you're watching a rescue dog commercial. Aww. You want one? No, I work too much. Gas it.
Well, I'm sure your wife is always right too. Just
no, she is right a lot of the time.
Yeah.
She is.
See how that works?
Very nice.
You just agree with them.
Do you talk like this?
Ear grin.
Have you done couples counseling? Have you ever done that?
No,
because you can't talk this way, and you can talk this way to your therapist, but you can't sit there with your wife and say, "Look, I just pretend what she's saying, which is fucking crazy, makes sense, and a little part of me dies inside. Let's all go get cookies." You can't. Talk
you can't do that because then you make that person laugh, and then as much as they fight it, they're on your side.
I know what you're talking
That's how
about.
it works. You've done that.
Yeah. If you can
I've never gone to couples therapy. Somebody told me like that's everybody he knew that went to couples therapy immediately got divorced afterwards.
No, that's not true.
Well, I didn't. I'm just repeating what somebody else said. You fucking said that like I said. I didn't come up with
terrible. I'm a couples counselor.
It's not
in my
true.
own way. I just think we need to encourage people.
You think I said the world was flat? Sorry.
Well, until I see real evidence.
It is. It's like a cereal bowl, evidently. We're looking down into it.
Right. Have you talked to someone who believes the Earth is flat? Do you know what you would say to them? Would they be swayed by pictures from space, or does that not mean anything to someone who believes the Earth is flat?
It's all done in a studio, man. They do it over in Burbank. No. It would depend on the situation.
Right.
If it was at night and we were by ourselves and I didn't know him and he just approached me, then I would just be like, oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I think you're right. I would just agree with him and make him leave. He probably wouldn't. His eyebrows would go up in excitement that he found somebody else that agreed with his way of seeing the world.
Right.
And then I couldn't get rid of him. I don't know. It's quite a conundrum.
And then you'd be with this person for the rest of your life. They'd be a good friend.
Well, what was bad was when I got into conspiracy theory about the banks and the Federal Reserve was you met so few of those, and then those other people with they just thought because you believed that those guys were a problem that you then thought the world was flat and all this other stuff. It's like, no, I don't think that. I just think this stuff over there, and then they would look at you like you were a sellout. Like there seemed to be like no middle ground with conspiracy theory. You had to be all in with shapeshifters and lizard people. It's just like, no, I'm just saying the Federal Reserve. It's, you know.
Right. You were saying you think in some ways our economic system might be a little gamed. A lot of
Ponzi scheme, yeah.
And a lot of people agree with you, and they thought, well, because that's a conspiracy theory, you're in on everything.
Yeah,
Every
that I
single
thought we
thing.
didn't land on the moon.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So then I you know, yeah, I used to call them the eyebrow raise people because then they come up, dude, like, you know what else? You know what else? They come up to like that. So I just sort of like, you know, I'll kind of keep my thoughts to myself.
Now, what about when you're doing your sets in a comedy club? Do you have people that get into it with you that say, okay, you've crossed the line, I don't like this, or do they mostly?
At this point, people are coming because they like what I do. But like before I got to a certain point, yeah, I had a lot of those. I remember some woman, I said something about animals, and I remember she got so mad at me, and she came up, you know, I was selling my DVDs. That's how long ago this was. And I don't know, she got into it with me about this stupid joke. And then I remember she was so proud of herself in the end. She goes, you know, just to let you know, she goes, I'm a card-carrying member of PETA. Like she got a degree or something. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, what is that, like $25? You just sort of paid your way into that?
Yeah. How'd that go over?
For me, it was fun. It was like, that was one of my favorite things is when people would get mad and then they would like yell at you. They would do all kinds of weird shit. I remember I pissed off this one guy. I think I was in Texas, and I said something liberal that he didn't like. And he came up afterwards and he shook my hand, and I shook his hand, and he just goes, I just paid.
He showed you.
No, and I just laughed. I didn't give a fuck. I also was a really angry guy, and the shit I used to say was just, a lot of it was fucking, you know, I don't know what it was. And I remember a lot of times people dragging people out, like people didn't give a fuck, were dragging somebody out who was yelling at me. My favorite thing was this guy wanted to beat the shit out of me during the show, and they threw him out. In classic comedy club security, the guy gets back in to beat the shit out of me, but he stood in the line at the DVDs waiting to beat the shit out of me.
I like that he's very patient, and he's a rule follower.
Yeah, so I had to go bounce like that guy, third guy down. That guy's gonna punch me in the face when it's his turn. Can you go over there and get rid of him? Yeah, there was a lot of that type of stuff. You know.
I don't know. I referenced the Red Rocks special because that's the last one I've seen you do. You have another one coming out, right? Do you have another special coming out, or that's going to be it for a while?
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll be it for a while. I don't really like where my act is right now. I'm trying to. It's too much of this, not enough of this. So I always have to have like that balance of annoying people and then sort of also being like, all right, I'm an idiot, you know?
Yeah, but I think, and this is worth talking about. Like I know over COVID. I ran into you, came by.
It's still going, Conan.
Please. It never existed. That's my little pet peeve. It's my little pet. Oh, I got the mask on.
I got really into vaccines during COVID. I can't stop getting them now.
Do they make you?
I got the shingles one. I got my second one.
Do they make you sick?
The shingles one, the first time I felt a little weird, and then the second one I had a little bit of a headache the next day. But like to not have like shingles, whatever the fuck those are.
I got those once.
Oh,
I got those years ago when I was first starting out in L.A. I got shingles.
How unsightly were you, a ginger with shingles?
Yeah, and guess what? I got them on my optic nerve of my eye.
No.
And so it just half my face, literally half, because the nerves of your face are symmetrical, got swollen, and I was in excruciating pain and couldn't drive anything. Look at you laughing.
Because I just pictured you in like a Batman movie, like being that face-off guy.
His name's Two-Face, not Face-Off.
Two-Face, right? Two-Face and shingles. They're coming for Gotham.
Half my face was completely red and swollen, and I couldn't This is killing you, my pain.
I'm just thinking of your poor wife. You just screaming in agony.
No, I wasn't married. I was living alone. This is in L.A. 1987.
They had shingles back then.
Yeah, I think it started with
that
me.
was new.
I was patient zero, and I walked.
Would you fuck a monkey or something?
Well, that's none of your business.
That's how shingles came about. Somebody finger banged the bat, and then went to SeaWorld and got in the goddamn pool. That goddamn Conan O'Brien could have kept his frickin' fingers to himself.
Let's just say I may or may not have finger fucked a bat. Okay.
Hey, what you do in your own time?
It was the mid-'80s.
It's what you did.
It's what people did.
First of all, it's a bat. It's still a mammal.
Yeah.
Right? So that's still within the Bible.
Yeah.
That's fair game.
Man can fuck with mammal.
Yeah.
Old Testament.
Yeah. There's
Wow.
nothing about a man laying with another bat. The older New Testament.
No, so yeah, I remember walking because I had no one to drive me, and I couldn't. I walked to. I walked,
Lonely, unfamous Conan
I walked to Cedars-Sinai Hospital.
with shingles. It's my favorite thing ever.
I'm the height I am now, but I'm 6'4", but I weighed about 150 pounds, and half my face was, half my pumpkin head was swollen and deformed, and I was staggering down the street to Cedars-Sinai, and it hurt so much.
Dragging a foot going, I went to Harvard. I went to Harvard.
Someday they'll put an athletic bottom on a wingtip show, and I shall own it. Just chunks of my face falling off.
I'm still better than all of you.
Oh, that always goes well.
My name is Bill Burr, and I feel all right about being Conan's friend.
That is
I feel all right with that.
That is such a Massachusetts attitude to have. I feel all right.
Well, I didn't see this last half of it. I thought it was how was I feeling.
Oh.
I didn't know it was about. Oh, it was about you. Oh, it's about Conan, everybody. Hi, my name is Bill Burr,
I don't
and
want to
I
hear this
feel
now.
so special
Oh, no.
about being Conan O'Brien's friend. I
terrible.
mean, it is such a short list. A lot of people want a Grammy. Some people want an Emmy. Not me. I just want to be Conan's friend.
Oh, well.
Finally happened. He
Well, it
used to
didn't
tell me
happen
years
yet.
ago. There was
We got to
not-
see how it goes, how the podcast
You told me
goes.
years ago there wasn't enough room for two redheads in this town. Try to out-ginger me.
Yeah. No, it is true. I was going to tell you that your fame is such that I was talking to, we talk to fans once a week, and we just released an episode today where I talked to a fan who's in Tehran in the middle of what's happening there.
I know that guy.
And yeah, it's the same thing as growing up in Boston. Anyway, I was talking to him, and he was telling us all of this really intense stuff that's happening in Tehran. And then at one point, he said, "But Conan, when things calm down, I'd love it if you came here and visited me." And I said, "Well, would I be welcome? Like, would your parents know who I am?" And he said, "Oh, all I have to do is tell them this guy's really funny." And he's from Boston. He's got red hair, and my parents will say, "We love Bill Burr." And and then he went zing. And this is a guy who's in the middle of a terrible revolution and a terrible situation, but took the time to use you to zing me, and then said zing. And this is from Tehran, which I thought was pretty impressive.
I liked it. I liked that he said zing. That probably added an extra sting to it. If he just sort of gave you shit, you would have taken that. But the fact that he went zing and went like old-timey with it, I don't know. I feel like that got under your skin.
It did.
Like you're like, I know what a zing is. You don't need
Yeah.
to say that.
Yeah.
I've been doing zings for 30 years.
I almost didn't release the tape of him talking. Yeah. I was like, what if this is such a terrible thing? Like, no, this is a great, message from someone in the middle of a historic, turbulent time, and he needs to get the word out. And I'm like, we're not releasing it. Why not? He zinged me. It'd just be so small of me. I'd be such a small person to do that.
I'm already wondering if they have a funny bone in Iran or whatever. Iraq? Is that what Iraq?
No, it's Iran.
Oh, it was in Iran. Oh, that's brutal.
I just said, what are you, a Yankees fan? He's like, no, Red Sox.
Well, you've changed your life a lot, right? You've cleaned up your act a little bit.
I mean, I feel I have. My wife, I don't know. I just don't know if I'm ever going to get over that hump.
She's first of all, I love your wife.
Listen, enough about you and your private desires.
I'm just saying, we live in an experimental age. We live at a time.
Hey, man,
when...
you're sucking an aluminum dick.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey, and I have no shame about it.
I got to tell you, the second.
Hold on a second.
The second the tie comes off, I'm telling you, man, this guy, he becomes a different guy.
Yeah. It was always a clip on.
No, my
anyway.
wife is yeah, she's the best. She's the
Yeah,
best.
you guys came over for dinner, and she's fantastic. And it's like I feel I accomplished the same thing. I found the right person. I found someone who is on me, understands me, does not let me get away with shit. Sometimes she lets me get away with a little just because she's like, let him go.
Yeah, just let him blow out the lines a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Let him go. But yeah, Nia's amazing.
Yeah, she is. But it's constant. Like I just when you're fucked up like me, I do need. The one big thing in our thing is I had to let her know. I need an attaboy every once in a while. Okay, you can't just every fucking day be reading me the riot act. I mean, I know I'm a fucked up guy, and I know that I'm difficult to live with. But every once in a while, I did make waffles this morning. I don't remember that being brought up. Is that
no one says attaboy anymore, by the way.
Is that just expected?
Yeah, attaboy.
No one says attaboy?
No one says attaboy.
How about there you go? There you go, Conan.
There you go. You did it.
Look at you.
Look at
it becomes real passive.
Look at big boy over here.
Yeah, it becomes real passive aggressive. There you go.
There you go.
Look at you. Must be nice. Must be nice. I got that one from somebody who's completely fucked up their life. He goes, oh yeah, you're out there in L.A. doing things. He goes, Christmas is coming up. You got money for gifts. Must be nice. Must be nice. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, it is. Life is pretty good when you're not doing drugs, getting fired every 2 weeks.
Also, I'm sorry. This guy is coming to you with a real low bar. Oh,
that was it. That was it.
Must be nice.
That was it.
Must be nice. You got some sneakers you can put on your feet.
Yeah, it's just, it just was one of those things. And I always told him, I said, listen, dude, if you're in a hole, if you're reaching up, I'll try to pull you out. But if you're face down in it, digging it deeper every day, I'm not getting involved in that. And he just couldn't get his head around that. And then I don't know. The last time I talked to him, he goes, I've been working out. I go, oh, that's great. I thought he was turning his life around. He lost a fight to his son.
Wait, that was his workout? He came at his son and lost?
No, he was working out because he lost a fight to his son. So he's like, oh man, I gotta lay off. Gotta lay off this shit. It's just fucking. No, but that's one of the things
that's
too.
The craziest motivation for I gotta hit the gym.
I know.
Yeah. I'm signing up. Hey, well, what made you come in? Well, I'm fighting my my 17-year-old son, and he got the better of me. So that was my wake-up call that I need to work out so I can beat the shit out of him.
Right. And people always say, like, why are so many people from Massachusetts funny? And I always go like, because that is the kind of person you run into all the time. And he said that's without a bit of funny. It wasn't supposed to be weird.
Yep.
Or anything. He was just straight up talking to me going like, yeah, man, he's strong now. I mean, he actually like knocked me down and stuff. So, I've been doing the curls. And it's just like, do you ever think of just like maybe going out to like have a cup of coffee and figure out what's going on with you guys? Like, I don't think you don't want to fight your son. I don't think he wants to fight you. No, dude, no, I know. But still, just like, it's one of those, and another thing too, I always remember when you were in Massachusetts is people would always, oh, that guy? Oh, dude, that guy's a character. He's a character. And everybody is like this, like it's like they're very like uninhibited, and they get into like these habits and these things that they do, and they don't realize like how colorful they are. And it's not until you travel and you go back and you come back to Massachusetts, you're like you go to like, I don't know what it's like now because like sports is like so, I don't know, I can't stand the direction that it went into. But when I used to go to like tailgates at the fucking Pats game, when you were like drinking on Route 1, we used to park in this guy's backyard, and then you walk down train tracks, active fucking train tracks, people walking, holding hands with kids, and then you would go under Route 1, up the thing, and then walk in, and just the shit that you saw, the stuff that people said. It was a comedy show from all the way, like people trying to be funny, people not being, just being who they were. And then you you get to your section before the giant, fucking screens took over.
Yeah.
There was a class clown in every fucking section.
Yeah.
And I used to try to be that guy, and sometimes I was, and then sometimes there'd be a guy funnier than me, and then I would just be entertained by him. And that happened at Red Sox games, Bruins games, big time, Celtics, all of those things. And I think like these TV screens and all of this shit that they have now, it's just like crowd control. Like the second there's a stoppage of play, that's like, they got these dumb races, and your section has to root for it to like win a T-shirt and shit. It's dumb.
I was of the era where my brother and I would go down to Fenway Park without it, just would think, hey, let's go watch a Red Sox game, and we'd walk down and you could get bleacher seats.
Oh yeah, for like $8.
Yeah, and we would get bleacher seats and we would sit in the bleachers. No planning, we got tickets, and we would go and we'd sit up there. And what they did was they hired, this is back when the Red Sox...
They'd stand on Conan's shoulders and then pull themselves up over the green monster.
What's happening up there, Luke?
Slide down.
Hey, Luke, who's ahead? The Reds are giving us a shellacking.
And then the beginning of his comedy career. Hey, you guys were supposed to pull me up. Fuck you fucking redheaded cunt. And then they just go.
Hey, that's the title of my autobiography. That was supposed to be a surprise. Random House next year. Fuck you fucking redheaded cunt.
I was doing a pre-promotion for it.
Thank you. No, but we would sit in the bleachers, and what was hilarious was they used to hire like football players, these massive linebackers from, I think, BU, and they would, at guys with massive necks, and they were the crowd control, but not professional crowd control. Their job was just, if anything got out of line, if they saw some people like having a little too much to drink and maybe getting into it, starting to fight a little bit, these guys with massive necks from BU would go running up and they would wail on people. And that was more, we went to watch that more than we could watch the game.
Well, the art of bouncing back then, nobody knew how to de-escalate a situation. It was all just ramping it up.
Yes.
I still remember I was doing this gig at Nick's Comedy Stop, and downstairs was a nightclub. And I still remember the night these guys, they kicked this dude out. And I don't know if this guy ever walked again. They basically, it was a dance floor. And you're in there, it's super fucking loud. Belle Biv DeVoe era, like that shit was playing, Poison or something. And then you just heard this commotion. And I looked over, and I think it was two bouncers, and they had just grabbed this guy, picked him up, and started running full speed with him. And there's like innocent people there. And the crowd just parted like that. And they had him like 9 feet in the air. And the door jam is like 8. And they were both running like a 440 with this guy. And like from the middle of his back to the back of his head, just slammed into this metal thing. And he folded in half like a chair. Just threw him out onto Warrington Street. I remember everyone like,
I like that you can't get through this without laughing.
Dude,
that's the most Boston part of this. So anyway, his spine is severed.
No, but now like there was like no cameras. Just like if you ever did that today, forget about there'd be cameras. The owner of the club would be like, dude, I'm going to have a lawsuit every fucking weekend. You guys are fired. So they just threw that guy. Everybody was like, oh, and everybody just went, oh. And then the music's still playing. And like, it was the funniest thing ever as far as like, it took a good minute for relaxed dancing to happen again. It was kind of like...
That is Belle Biv DeVoe.
No, it was definitely like the tone had been set. I'll never forget, like they must have done that more than once because they were working together. They just grabbed the guy. I knew a guy that was a bouncer. He said sometimes we would just walk up to somebody just to start a fight, and we'd just walk up to him and be like, hey man, you got to get out of here. And they didn't do anything. And they would just do it, hoping that they would, because a lot of guys were on juice back then. And it was, it wasn't the cream that they have now that also has like a suntan lotion or whatever, a sunscreen in it, whatever these guys have now.
That's what I use.
It was the horse tranquilizer shit. So they like wanted to get into fights. And I avoided all of that. I avoided all of that shit. Like past a certain age, I just stopped. I was like, these guys are like people getting their fucking ears bit off and stuff. I knew this guy like, like his party trick, he would eat a light bulb. And gums bleeding, smiling at you, and shit. It's just like, these guys.
It was a better time.
These guys are on another. These guys are on another level. I'm just gonna stick to the comedy, And yeah, there was some really interesting. There was a lot of characters back then.
A lot of characters. You did this special in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I almost sensed you love to go to a place where you feel like you're not just going to, you could go to certain places where you're just going to get, where you know what their attitude is and you know you're going to get unconditional love. There's obviously you have a lot of fans in Seattle, but you go there, I think, because you want to challenge some of what Seattle may stand for right now in some ways. Is that possible?
Well, I did what I did in Seattle because of collectively the way they think. But like if I did it in Utah, I would have did it a different way.
Yes,
but
exactly.
It would have been the same thing to kind of like, like mess with them a little bit.
But you like the pushback. You enjoy it.
Yeah, because the thing I don't want to.
It's the cold shave for you. There's part of you that wants to go someplace, and you did this for years on my show, which was why I always loved you. But you would have the take that wasn't the comfortable take that everyone would applaud at. You would always want to put yourself in a situation where you
push people away.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
But it was hilarious, and I think something that's quite unusual about you.
Well, the reason why I love the city, and then that theater for me is a funny place because everyone talks about like Nirvana, that they were the ones that knocked off the metal bands off the top 10 on MTV, and it was really, I felt, when Pearl Jam put out that video and Eddie Vedder climbed up at the Moore Theater and dropped down into the crowd, and it was like, okay, so that Nirvana thing wasn't a fluke. There's more of these bands, and it was like the first time that I felt like old. I was about 23.
Yeah.
There was no more exciting birthdays. I had, 16, you get your license, 18, you're an adult, 21, you can drink, 22, you graduate college. This was the first kind of like, oh, now I just go, all right, bye, good luck with your life. We're watching these people. And it was just funny to me to go back to that place where that happened, because it took me forever to like that band. And now I like them, but it took me forever because I was just like, fuck those guys.
Wait, for Pearl Jam?
Yeah.
What was your beef with Pearl Jam?
They knocked Warrant off. It was so stupid.
Because you liked Warrant?
It wasn't that. It wasn't what they represented was I wasn't young anymore.
Oh, I see.
It was the end.
I
It was
see.
the end. Listen, I knew when all of those W bands were coming in that like this is like the end of this shit.
bands.
But there was also still some like, I'll tell you this. What's their face? Oh my God, I'm flaking on the name here. When they did Monkey Business, Sebastian Bach.
Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Yeah.
Dude, them live on SNL doing Monkey Business or whatever. Dude, I'll put that up against anybody. Sebastian Bach and the whole band sounded fucking unreal. But the whole industry at that point was already moving on to grunge, and it's a killer album. So there was still, any genre, there's going to be like awful versions of that. But like that was just my first experience of like, oh wow, this is like over. So that's kind of why I picked that theater to do it, because it was funny to me, like to come back to this place that and then, Drop Dead Years, this whole mortality thing that I was thinking.
Yeah, you say there's these ages when men, not women, men just drop dead. And you say it's 49 to 61.
Yeah, and anything after that, you're just looking at a prolonged illness.
But you say that's the age, that's this window. And he said, it doesn't happen. It's really funny. I don't want to blow your
so that's
special.
the thing,
I want
like,
people to
these
watch
are the years I'm in, so I've got to make sure I go to the hot doctor, and I got to make sure I watch what I eat, dude. And then, then you can make it to that next level where, you're that old guy at the golf club talking about how they just took your gallbladder out and, just talking about what ails you. I can never be that guy. I've tried so many times to get into golf. I just cannot fucking
I don't do it. I tried it once, and I thought it's going to take so much work for me to be very bad that I want to put that time into maybe getting a little better at guitar. Like that was my...
and nobody seems to be enjoying it. Like you talk about anybody goes, how's it going? First 4 holes were good, and I couldn't have my fucking driver. And then it's like, why would you keep doing this? And it takes forever, and it's mind-numbingly like boring. It's just I like watching pros do it. I like that my friends enjoy doing it, but I would rather go do shit.
Yeah.
I'd rather go play drums, ride a motorcycle, fly a helicopter. Like, why wouldn't you do that as opposed to fucking say, what are you, 112 yards? What do you think? What are you going? What are you going? You going 7, 8 iron? And they got their fucking sniper scope. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's like all you guys need to go home and either get divorced or work on your marriage because there is nothing is happening here. It's like a library. Like it's like the whole. It's so quiet. Shh, all of this shit. It's just bad. It's just bad, and everybody with the wacky. If you either wear really wacky clothes, like you're in a Three Stooges sketch, or you dress,
hey, lady,
or you dress like you're Tiger Woods adjacent or whatever. Yeah. Oh, he's a scratch golfer. Okay, your guy's a scratch golfer. Oh, is he? That's amazing. Like he's dunking. It's just like,
well, this makes me happy because I'm adjacent to a lot of people that are golfers. Yeah. Jeff Ross golfs a lot and likes to talk about golfing.
Eduardo said he does.
Golf all the time.
Yeah.
No. Listen. If that's what gets you going, that's cool. I tried. No, because I'm joking around. It does look like a great hang. It does look like a great hang.
We shit talk all the time.
It's just it should be 9 holes. And I would argue maybe 7.
7 holes.
Like, is there a golf slider thing that I could do? Like 3 holes?
There are courses that offer 9 holes. Yeah.
There's one off the 5 that's a par 3. There's one down in Torrance that's an 18-hole par 3. It's like that's what I'm going here with 3 clubs, 48 balls, and I'm not looking for any of them. I don't give a shit, and I count every fucking stroke. Like if I go to tee off and I miss, that's a breakfast ball. No, it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It isn't.
Right.
It isn't. I was trying to hit the ball and I missed. That fucking counts. Setting the tone. These are going to be honest scores today, and nobody looks at you. They all look down at their silly pants. No, it attracts and rewards dishonest people. A lot of contractors, real estate agents, lawyers. You're just running a lot of people.
You're a happy man now. That's what I like. I know your anger fuels you.
Dude, I went on a motorcycle ride the other day that was fucking life-changing. It was fun. I was riding.
Where'd you go?
I went up the canyons in, I think La Cañada or something like up that way. And it was my buddy's bike, and it was a big bike, and I was, those big Harleys with the fucking fairings. So it's like scary, it's like you're on a Clydesdale. And on the way up, I was kind of scary, but on the way back, I kind of got the feel for it. And I kind of, did my version of tearing through the canyon. And I was euphoric for like 2 days doing that. And that's like just not something golf has never done for me. Like I remember a couple of times I've hit good shots and people always go, that's the shot that's going to make you come back. It's like, no.
No, it's not.
Do you have nighttime golfing? I would do that. Like those, like those driving range things, those with the big net. That looks like fun. There's
fun.
Chicks there, the people drinking and
Top
stuff.
golf.
Yeah,
Top golf.
those
That
are
looks
fun.
like if I was young, this is like a nightclub with golf. That looks fun. But like to actually just become a member, you have to vote on things. Like you join this sports HOA. Okay, we got a dentist here. Seems like a good guy. He wants to be a member. Let's see, Conan, you take him out for a round of golf, you feel him out. Feel if he's our kind of person that we want in our little clubhouse here. Yeah, I don't know.
An HOA. I can't.
Yeah, no, it really is.
I watched your special, Drop Dead Years.
Yeah.
And loved it. And I know it's coming out. When's it coming out? I want to make sure I get... It's out right now. Yeah. Okay. We're taping this a little beforehand. We're taping this in 1974.
1974.
We're very excited about the Red Sox next year, the 75 Red Sox.
It should be amazing. And I'm glad that busing crisis is finally over.
Oh, finally, yeah. No more racism. No more racism in Boston.
And I'm looking forward to that story just sort of disappearing so Boston can move forward.
Boston will be fine.
Yeah.
No, but I watched your special and you talk about going to the funeral of a friend. First of all, it's a very, very funny I feel it's redundant saying Bill Burr had a really funny stand-up special.
Why is it so hard for you to say that about me?
I just root against you. I root against you.
You couldn't even open your eyes. All right, I'm admitting he said something that was
Bill
mildly
Burr
amusing. This fucking
has
bastard.
achieved some success. Another ginger from Boston. There's only room for one.
Just what I needed.
But I watched your special, and it's fantastic. You talk about losing a friend and going to the funeral, and of course, you have some very funny observations about that. But it opens up. It feels like you're opening up a little more in this special about your personal life and some of your struggles, and it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I kind of, I was of that belief, as most people that come from the East Coast, that, your anger and shit is like your security blanket. And it's made you who you are. It's why you're funny. It's why you have character. It's all of this stuff. And if you, for some reason, let go of this and actually enjoy life, or maybe take responsibility for your actions and see how your behavior affects other people, for some reason, that's going to be like the undoing of you. Like, there's a lot, I don't know about how you came up, but like in stand-up, there was a lot of stuff out there. Don't get married, don't have kids. Basically, don't find happiness. That is the kryptonite to comedy. And I found that that's not true. And it's really the opposite is once you kind of, get yourself to a new place, you can kind of revisit a lot of shit that you talked about with like a new, like sort of point of view of it.
Yeah.
I'm listen, but believe me, dude, I've only gone up like one flight of the Empire State Building. That is my messed up personality. So,
This is the eternal question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one I've thought about in comedy, which is you can be funny or you can be happy. And I really believed in that dichotomy. And I remember years ago living in LA and stating that to
getting molested, doing the things you had to do to get a late night talk show. Come on, it's out there now. All right,
it's better when you say
Conan,
it.
say the name.
We all did what we had to do. I'm here now.
Hey, it was a different time.
Different time.
A lot of couches.
You know what? No one wanted me on a couch. Right? I mean, let's just be honest.
Not even your therapist.
No one, yeah. No one was like, I got to get me a piece of that Conan.
Yeah.
But
that featherless ostrich.
Why? Why do I invite you back?
I don't know.
It's not right.
Oh my God.
I really did believe that was a choice you had to make, and I was okay with
being miserable. Yeah,
being miserable, and
I thought it made me tough.
Yeah,
I thought all of that stuff, like and all the movies that you watch, they made you believe in. I remember I watched The Dirty Dozen. And there's that scene where they have to shave in cold water, and we ain't shaving and blah, blah. So I was sitting there thinking like, oh, tough guys shave in cold water. And I shaved in cold water for like 7 years as like a fucking dental assistant and stand-up comedian. And like, it was like just something that it was a subconscious thing that it was all of this stuff had happened to me. So you just always thought I can't, you got to get tougher. You got to get tougher. So all of this stuff that's happening to me, I won't feel it. And what I was really doing was I was walling myself off, and it was so funny. And there was a lot of information out there about people like being walled off and all of that. And I would just watch them fascinated, like, how the fuck do you not know what you're feeling? Not even realizing that I was the exact same way. And it's mushrooms. Mushrooms turned me around. I had one mushroom trip, and it sort of woke me up.
See, I've had people tell me I should do that. I've never done that, and I also have a long way to go. I'll admit that. I think I've made progress. You can be honest.
I really do think you have. And I think mushrooms might be good for you.
You've always thought pot would be good for me.
I did. Yes, I do.
Pot's a depressant. That pot is like, I don't know. And weed isn't weed anymore.
Oh,
that shit where like, these people came over for fucking Thanksgiving, right?
Why can't it just be Thanksgiving?
Because you know something? It's how I grew up talking.
Okay. I'm just saying.
I don't mean it in a bad way.
I went to my fucking kid's christening.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. So I had some friends over for what is arguably, I feel, the best holiday. This is what I really feel, but I said fucking Thanksgiving, but I really love Thanksgiving because, yeah, it's a nice hang and you don't have to buy anything. And this Christmas. I can't stop looking at that camera.
Who doesn't like a fucking turkey?
I don't know why.
Who doesn't make some fucking giblets and gravy?
As he sips his dainty little coffee.
Iced coffee.
I had to get rid of the straw. I'm not evolved enough as a man that I can drink out of a straw and still feel all right about
floor
myself.
number 4.
I just think of it as an aluminum dick.
Oh.
Just doing my part to show that I'm an ally. Aluminum
Can't
dick.
wait to take another sip.
Oh my God.
Oh, come on,
This
Sona.
episode is called Conan Swallows. Anyway, what was I talking about? So I had some people over for Thanksgiving, and this guy he has a joint, right? So I'll take a couple of hits, whatever. I go, what is this? And he told me, he goes, it's a nice afternoon sativa, right? So didn't that sound like the wind was just blowing through my non-existent hair? So I go, all right. So I took 3 of the hits off of that thing, and I just wasn't at Thanksgiving anymore. I mean, I was like there. I was like, people kept talking to me. My wife just kept going, he's useless. He's useless. You got to wait a couple hours.
It's so powerful. Yeah. No, I'm not. It's too late for me.
No, that's why I ended up texting you some of the jokes a few days later.
Yep.
That thing where we were doing the thing, me and this other guy were high out of our minds, and like nobody in this industry has been buying anything since the strike.
Yeah.
But they're taking meetings, wasting your time. So we were like, we should waste their time back. We were just pitching sequels to perfect movies that didn't need a sequel. And my favorite one was Two Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This time he's keeping the sink. And it's all about the Indian guy. After he throws it, he picks the sink up and he's running with it. And Tommy Lee Jones is chasing him. It's just basically becomes The Fugitive.
You merge Fugitive.
Yeah. And my favorite part was he's standing near the waterfall. And he's like, this sink means a lot to me. And Tommy Lee Jones like, I don't care. He jumps. So I opened that up to my podcast listeners. Dude, regular people are so fucking funny now because they're pitching jokes. And so now they're funny. Somebody had the best one, wrote a sequel to Schindler's List. It was called Schindler's Wrist. It's about the carpal tunnel Schindler got writing the list and the therapy.
It's just this?
And the therapy that happened. And the movie just ends with him being like, it feels pretty good. Just totally anticlimactic.
How you feeling, Schindler? I gotta say, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, you're a wizard. And just sit there pitching it with a straight face.
I want to talk to you about this project, this movie that you're working on, because it's something that you and I have talked about because we are friends. We have dined together. We've hung out. Our wives have hung out.
Just pictures with big chalices and candelabras. Conan.
We did. I had a suit of armor brought in and put in the corner. You're talking about this movie that you've made is a subject that's near and dear to your heart. It's about being dads. Older dads, right?
Old dads, yeah.
Old dads.
There was something that came about by, not getting my shit together and having kids really late in life. Like I'm 54, my kids are 5 and 2. And I didn't realize like how much the world had changed. Like my daughter's in kindergarten now, and I was in kindergarten 50 years ago. So just the whole way that they teach, like everything, literally, I'd be like, "Oh, you're on the jungle gym," and she'd be like, "It's called the structure." and then I'd be like, "Oh my God, I said jungle. Am I, was that borderline racist now? Like, what did I just say?" And you just start freaking out, and just sort of it lives sort of in that world, and then also all of this world now of where, you go back into somebody's Twitter account 8 years. And find a bad tweet, and they're like, "This is who this guy is. This guy's an asshole." And it's like, I always looked at it like, you had to go back 8 years before this guy was an asshole. That's an amazing like Lou Gehrig run of not being an asshole. If you went 7 years, like this guy was totally cool, but in 2014, that one random Wednesday, he was really in a mood.
Yeah.
And it was just weird. Someone who I lean left. I'm not 100% left. It's sort of like, I just thought that whole era was really fascinating to watch people like just trying to just sort of ruin people. Like I understood the beginning of it when they were going after these monstrous people, but then it just became this like these ticky-tack misdemeanors bullshit, and they would just burn them down. It was like a Frankenstein movie. Like they were all coming up the fucking hill. So it's sort of subtly lives in that world too.
Right. And one of the things that I relate to you on is we both come from, like I say, a similar part of the country. I'm a little bit older than you, but I do relate very much. When you talk about being a dad, you often relate it to when you were contrasted with when we were kids. And that's something that hits home with me because, I had kids later in life. Now they're teenagers. But in the early stages, I remember thinking this does not resemble the childhood that I have in any way.
Yeah.
Because first of all, the fact that so much care and attention is spent on each child was something that was, no, I'm not saying that. I love my parents, but it was a different attitude. There were 6 of us, and I remember very clearly at any given time, if you ask my mother or my father, where's Conan? They'd be like, I don't know, he's, no one knew exactly where you were.
They just sent you outside. Like, that was a lot of it. They just sort of sent you outside, and you went out, and you just met other kids your age and came up with stuff to do when you were outside, and then eventually you ran into older kids, and then they just beat the shit out of you. And then,
this is why.
And then you came up like, I did a cartoon for Netflix called F is for Family. One of the first episodes is a scene where the young me and his friend are up in a tree, and these guys start throwing rocks at us and shooting fireworks. And that was based on a true story. There wasn't fireworks, but it was just me and a friend of mine were climbing trees. We're just climbing a tree because that's what you did before there was no internet. That was going online, climbing a tree and risking your life. So we climbed up this tree, and these bigger kids came by, and they saw us up there, and they just started throwing rocks at us until their arms got tired. We were up there, like crying, getting hit in the ankles and in the back. And then you just climb down the tree, and then those guys were assholes.
But I remember that, and I bring this up because the minute that my daughter could drive or my son could drive, my wife would check, and she could show me on the phone where they were. And I thought, that's just blows my mind. It doesn't.
Like J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah. It doesn't feel right to me that we are that accountable all the time. And sometimes I wonder if I'm just jealous of. There's like a care and attention.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? And I wonder because when I watch your comedy, when I watched you at Red Rocks, and you're talking about anytime you're talking about your child or your dad, how the house was tense or there was anger, people weren't dealing with things appropriately. I think, I know what you're talking about. It was an era, and I think I sometimes, when I'm seeing my family and my wife's handling everything so beautifully, for some reason I become enraged.
No, I get that.
Why? Where was it? What do you mean? You're looking him in the eye and talking to them? What is this?
I totally get that. I remember one time being in a grocery store or something like that, and I saw this kid. He started crying about something, and his mother went over and started hugging him and comforting him. And I just felt this urge to go over and trip this little kid. And then another time, I remember the grocery store, because that's where a lot of moms have like the kids and stuff. And this kid was going like, "Yeah, Mom, can I have candy?" And she was just like, "No." And then he started crying, and it made me laugh. I was want to be like, "Yeah, get used to that, kid."
So you enjoy the unhappiness and pain of a child?
I thought I did. But I realized it had nothing to do with the kid. That was just me with all of my bullshit. I was jealous of the kid who was getting hugged, and then I was laughing at the other kid because I related. Like, I remember a long time ago, I saw Sling Blade when it was in the movie theater, and I remember when he zoomed that guy out of the house in the wheelchair. He's like, get out of my fucking house. And he zoomed him out. And the guy was all helpless. I roared with laughter. And I remember I was with these actors that I was working on something, and they looked at me in this horrified way.
Right.
And I couldn't explain it. You had to be a comedian to understand. Like, I think actors and comedians, they process pain differently.
Right.
Where actors, I think, are more like examining it, where comedians, you just pave it over, and it's like, you're just laughing, not because you're happy that happened to someone in a wheelchair, you're just laughing at just how fucking mean it was. I told you about this, that one time my wife was on the plane with me, and we were going somewhere far, so she had like a tablet, and I started watching a movie, and she had fallen asleep, and I was watching a movie, and I was laughing so hard, I woke her up. And then she, you know, when you don't know what somebody's laughing at and you just start laughing, she's like, what are you laughing at? And I was trying to hide it. And she looked and I was watching Precious. I don't even...
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It was literally...
Oh my God!
Some shit, it just gets so mean. It's just so mean. It pushes
you
through
over. Yeah.
into comedy again. The mother said something so fucking mean, and then they just cut to her face, and she was so sad. I'm not going to lie. I'm being honest. I was wheezing. I was literally like laying in the...
So
I was laughing so hard, the woman I didn't know on the other side of my wife was laughing, and then my wife started punching me in the shoulder. Just gave her like the tablet. No, that's one of my favorite things.
It'd be great if you were a movie
my wife
critic.
has such
It really
a
would
big
be great.
heart. And we're always watching TV, and she's forever getting teared up, and I am laughing my ass off. Like, she used to watch The Biggest Loser, and these fat people would be crying about all the cookies and burgers they were eating. And they were crying like they lost a dog or something. And she would be crying with them, and I would just be laughing my ass off.
So
No, most of the world is starving. That's why. Like, I went to like India, and I saw this level of poverty that I just maybe want to adopt every kid over here. And then you just come back to America, and there's these slovenly people. I just can't stop eating Oreos. And it was just so fucking hilarious. And
this won't air.
and then it's like,
Can't do this.
This won't come
and then
out.
what it is because my wife
No one will ever hear this.
my wife gets mad at me for laughing. It makes it like, oh, dude, I have worse ones than that. I got worse ones than
We
that.
might as well get it out now because
I can't
You're
say
safe.
this one to protect people. You guys aren't going to laugh at this one because you're told you're not supposed to.
No, that's not this crowd.
All right,
This is a
some dude beat the shit out of his girlfriend, right?
Well, you're off to a good start. You know how to get a crowd. You had them. You're like, yeah, I can top that.
How else are you supposed to watch the news? Am I really supposed to be going like, oh, for the whole time? Or you can laugh. I mean, it's a choice.
I have to
Like,
go.
how does it help me?
But how? Okay, I want to hear you pull this out.
So my wife was so sad about it that I had to make a joke because I wasn't mature enough to be sad with her.
Right.
So I was going like, what do you think she said? What do you think that last thing
for
she
God's
said, right?
sake.
You know? Yeah, exactly. So she gets all mad, right? So she got really mad.
Why did she marry you? She's lovely. I've met her. She's wonderful.
So then like a week later, my mother-in-law comes over, right? The fucking story comes on the news. And after the story's over, she goes, I know I shouldn't say this. My wife goes, Mom, don't say it. And she just goes, I wonder what the last thing she said was. And I died laughing. My mother-in-law died laughing, and my wife stormed
Jumped out of the room.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, neither one of us beat her up. So, like, she can't hear us laugh. I'm not happy that happened.
Well,
I don't understand what the fucking news is. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of shit you can't fix that happened that was horrible. Ah! Do you know at my gym? At my gym, they literally play CNN, and it's just the whole state of California's on fire. school shootings and shit. It's like, I'm coming here to get away from this shit. I'm on a fucking elliptical and I got to watch people's houses burning down.
Right.
How long are you you're trying to make this seem like 3 hours on the elliptical? So we should be showing like, I don't know, Dumb and Dumber. I think this is going good, Conan.
I think it's going really well. I think it's going great.
Hi, my name is Ben Stiller, and I feel... about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
Wow. Devastating.
I like that.
Devastating. Not even a word, a noise.
I think the last time I was optimistic or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm just pulling it out of my
It was something kind of positive,
Yeah.
and this time, a noise?
Well, I was
And
trying
not-
to be realistic about the last time where I had all these hopes that, and now here we are.
Yeah, here we are, and it really hasn't blossomed, the friendship.
I mean, it's sort of kind of like treaded water for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's always there. And there's like a lot of love and there's a lot of, like appreciation of our history, but we haven't moved forward in time together.
No.
Yeah.
Not for lack of my trying.
No, I know.
I've contacted you many times through your people.
Yeah.
And I often get just, we'll get back to you.
Well, that's why I have people.
Yeah. But what's weird? But can I just say something? What's weird? The people sound suspiciously like Ben. It sounds like Ben picking up and he says, "Let me get Ben's people,"
Right.
and then the people sound a lot like you.
It's like the guy from the Donald Trump who called into the Post.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that guy's name was.
David Barron or John Barron.
Yeah. Well, I've known you a very long time, and I was very excited you're coming in today because you're one of my all-time favorite comedy people. Your body of work is fucking crazy stunning. And we're going to talk about Severance, which was my favorite show. That first season was perfection, and I am delighted that Severance is coming back. So much so that your people said, I can watch a few episodes. And they said, you can watch a couple of episodes of this new season. We'll make them available to you. And I'm like, no. I'm rewatching season 1 to watch season 2.
Okay, good.
And I don't want to watch it on a computer.
Yes.
I don't want to watch it. I want to watch it because I think the direction, which is you, is, I know some other people direct, but you direct the majority of these episodes, is absolutely fantastic. The art design, the acting, the whole thing is through the roof.
Thanks,
it's
man.
delulightful.
Thank you.
And
Conan, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No,
that means a lot because you know how much I respect you. Seriously.
Well,
No joke.
Well, now people think it's a joke because you said no joke.
I know. I said
So now
no joke too quickly or something. I don't know. I think seriously was the first place I went wrong. And then no joke was trying to say that.
Yeah.
Too many qualifiers.
We're gonna talk about it because anyone who's listening to this right now, if you're not watching Severance, if you didn't see season 1, go and watch it. It is it's just, I think, flawless, and there's so many images in it, moments in it, and it's got me thinking about so many things. So I'm very psyched for season 2. But along those lines, I just wanted to go back to, I'll just touch on it, met you for the first time. We mentioned this last time, but I think it bears repeating. I met you when you came to SNL, and right away was doing one of the funniest things I had seen when you played a grown-up Eddie Munster. Right. With the whole outfit, but you're jaded now.
Yeah.
You had done a Tom Cruise film, which was a parody of Color of Money, and I looked at that film and I remember thinking, well, why isn't this is what Saturday Night Live should be, which later on, if you look at what Please Don't Destroy and a lot of the shorts from Lonely Island, it became more shorts. These short films, which are just, became more and more of the DNA of the show. Yeah. Which I remembered when you first came along, remembered the first thing I saw you do was that short that you had made, I think yourself, self-funded or something.
Yeah, I made it on my own. And
is it before Ben Stiller show?
Yeah, no, this was before anything. I was in a play called The House of Blue Leaves off Broadway, and the play was doing really well, and it moved to Broadway. And John Mahoney was in it, and Stockard Channing, and Chris Walken, and all this amazing cast. And I made this short takeoff with these two guys, Steve Clayman and Ralph Howard, and I kind of put all my money into it that I was making from the show. And we made this short, and then we were like, okay, let's take it somewhere. And this was, I mean, it's just a proof of how old I am, and we are, is that...
Not me.
No, not you.
I met you when I was 4 years old.
I know, I forgot.
I'm 39 years old.
But there was nowhere to go. There wasn't, anything to upload it to at that point. So it was like a video cassette, and Lovitz had come to the show. He'd seen the show, and and I reached out to him because he came backstage afterwards, and he knew my parents and was very nice. And I reached out. I said, "Hey, I've got this short. Is there any way you could get them to take a look at it?" And he literally met me in the lobby at 30 Rock and took the video cassette upstairs.
I remembered watching it. All of us were blown away. Your Tom Cruise impression was fantastic.
I couldn't believe that they were putting it on the air because there was nobody from the show in it.
Yep.
And it was Jim Downey.
Yep. Jim Downey, great, who's been on this podcast, amazing head writer. And he just, when he saw something that was great, he knew this has to just be on. I find it so interesting that people can go back and look at that Color of Money parody that you did, and you should look it up and check it out. But to me, it was saying, it occurred to me today, oh, this was the way to go. You were ahead of your time. In my opinion, it's.
I don't know. I was just sort of like, honestly, I've probably talked to you about this before, that, it was for me trying to do what Albert Brooks, who I think was ahead of his time for sure.
Very much so, yeah.
In terms of what he did, his first movie, Real Life, which was about reality television and making fun of it. And what he had done on the show, and watching that when I was younger and wanting to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's interesting to me that you when I first saw you were doing a spot on Tom Cruise impression, and then you flash forward all these years with Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise plays this executive in Tropic Thunder, and it is one. I mean, I've talked to Tom Cruise about it. It is one of the funniest cameos. He comes out of nowhere, and I know that he came to you when you. I don't know if you approached him about playing this character and said, what's the character's name? Is it Lou?
Les Grossman.
Les Grossman.
Yeah.
He had two
Jewish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never really stated, but it's kind of implied.
Just occurred to me now. That's a Jewish name. But he had requests, right? He had two requests, which was, correct me if I'm right, or you could say he wanted his hands.
Yeah, he wanted to have big, thick forearms that were hairy.
And
he wanted to be Jewish,
and he wanted to,
and he wanted to dance,
and he wanted to dance,
yeah.
And so,
again, Jewish.
What's crazy to me is that when he said those things to you, you might have been thinking, "Oh, what?" I don't know. Did you right away say?
No, I was. I mean, it's a strange set of circumstances the way that this happened. We had done this little short for the MTV Movie Awards where I played his stuntman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we had met a couple of times over the years before that, but then we had a great time doing that together and had stayed in touch since then. And I had this idea for the movie for a long time. I had been working on it with Justin Theroux, and Eitan Cohen came on later, and we finally had this script, and I had talked to Tom about it. And originally I wanted Tom to play my part.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I was too nervous to ask him to do it.
Yeah.
Because he's Tom Cruise.
Sure. Yeah.
He has other stuff to do.
Yeah.
And we were friendly and hanging out. He was so nice and just the greatest guy. But I didn't want to bother him really with this. And, but I eventually sent him the script, and he was like, this is great. I'd love to be a part of this. And I was like, well, maybe you could play, there's an agent role. And he's like, well, no, I played an agent before.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
And he said, but it was his idea, this character. He said, you don't have a studio exec in the movie.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this was 3 months or maybe 2.5 months before we started shooting. And Justin and I were like, well, Tom is would like to be in the movie, and he had this idea of playing a studio exec. And so we went back and came up with Les Grossman, and it changed the whole plot of the movie, but made it so much better.
This leads me nicely to Severance, because I'm lucky enough to be friends with and encounter people all the time, especially in the comedy world and acting world. And so I kind of semi-know Adam Scott. And my wife and I watch Severance when it comes out. And shortly after that, I see Adam Scott, and I said, that was the best thing that's been on television in memory. That was fantastic. And he was like, oh, thanks a lot, man. And I was like, no. And I think I put my hand on his chest.
Oh.
Like, no.
Jesus.
You don't understand. Like,
Why?
I know there's a show business thing. Well, have you felt his chest? Adam Scott's
I
chest?
have not.
Well,
no.
you haven't lived then.
Okay.
No, but the way there's a show business thing of, hey man, I saw your thing. It was really good. And it's you'll say it about me at some point, but
That's so sad.
but it'll come out naturally, or we'll edit it in.
And I'll touch your chest.
But it was very important to me to let him know, no, I'm not doing that thing.
Right.
I'm doing this other thing where, and he was, appreciative, I think, and then just wanted to get away. But the quality of the storytelling, the intricacy of it, the respect it has for the audience, it's so smart, and there's so many layers to it that I've gone into deep dives where people discuss, just various levels of it, and it all holds up, because when you put that much thought into something, it's really beautiful when people appreciate it and see it, and start to go like, oh, wait a minute, what do you think's going on? And the whole concept of Severance is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, that's great to hear, in that the trust you can have for the audience, which you have to sort of like take a sort of runner on and kind of, just go, okay, I'm going to believe that they're going to get this. But, you never go bad when you don't underestimate the audience.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because people are smart, and especially now, people watch television so closely, and they appreciate it so much, and they look forward to it. And so that's a great thing to know, that people will pick up these little things. But we made the show in a bubble during COVID, with no, you make the whole series and then you put it out. So there's no feedback.
You don't know. You've basically built this giant contraption, and you put it out there, and you don't know, is it going to work?
Yeah.
What if people watch the first episode and say, I don't care?
Right. It's not like the opposite of doing like a late night show or something, where, right, you're getting feedback every day.
Every second. Yeah.
Right. And so it was a great experience making it. And then near the end, I was like, oh, I hope people get it. I hope they like it. We've been working on this thing for a couple of years. Like, this could be either good, or it could just be like, maybe nobody's going to even see it. And
well, the reaction was
it was great.
Insane.
Yeah, it was great. It's as great as anything I've been a part of. And, being in the business so long, like, you never know how people are going to react to stuff. And when it's great, it's so great, and when it's not great, it sucks. But but it's not that different, the experience of whatever you make. It was something that gets well received or not. You're still putting your all into it.
Well, I've always said it takes a lot of talented people working really hard to make something shitty. Yeah. Meaning, when you see something and everyone sits around and hate watches it or says this is bad, that was a lot of oftentimes very talented people working really hard, and it just didn't come out quite the way they wanted it to, or it came out at the wrong time, or whatever
it is.
Whatever it was. And then those same people can work on something, and it can be absolutely amazing.
And you're all in on it the whole time.
Yeah.
So you can't go back. And it's just sort of like, okay, so this is it.
There are these moments I talked to you earlier about. There are always these moments in your work where I remember them. There's so many moments in the first season of Severance. First of all, the look of it. And there are moments where I think you as a director, the use of corridors and ceilings, like when I watch this show, I feel like I'm down underground and I'm in that place, and it's a very specific, the lighting, the look of it, the vibe. You've got these great wide, like flat shots sometimes, and it does feel a little bit like Kubrick or something. It's just like all the references are absolutely incredible and bears rewatching. Like you can rewatch it over and over and over again. It's really hypnotic. But there's a moment with the actor, he plays Lance. Is it Tremel Tillman?
Yeah.
There's a moment, I'm not giving anything away, where he goes into a dance in this first season, and it's my favorite moment in television of that year because it's not part of his character, but then he goes into this kind of dance, and the way you shoot it, and I think I've watched it like 20 times. I don't know this gentleman. I please tell him I'm his biggest fan, but that was my favorite moment. It was so... It came at me in such a weird way from the side. You know what I mean? It came through my peripheral vision, and it was so fantastic. And the way it was scored, the music, and the tension building while he's doing this kind of what's supposed to be a joyous thing. It's sort of David Lynch. It's everything. It's like 15 different
it was
flavors.
A confluence of events that came together. I didn't even know he was going to dance like that. It's dancing.
Dancing is fantastic.
It's the same thing Tom Cruise dancing. Like, I didn't know Tom Cruise was going to dance like that.
Did this guy have in his contract, though?
No, but that was also, one of those things where it was just like, I felt the same way watching it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I love watching this. I could watch it over and over again. And I think as a director, you kind of, it's not like you want to like say, oh, my work is great. It's like you're almost like an audience. Mm-hmm. You have to act as an audience, and you're the sort of like, you have to make the choices based on being an audience that you're projecting would be watching something.
Yeah.
So I loved it too. I was like, I love watching. I was like, oh, this is really fun. I could watch this all day.
At the heart of this show is this concept. And again, this isn't giving anything away, because anyone who's listening to this, and you need to watch this show, but you also, if you haven't seen the first season, watch that. And the concept is people working at this company, and to go into this company, they descend and they're disassociated from their previous life. Yeah. So their work life and the person who's up above ground, they're the same person, but...
Yeah, there's just a chip that's inserted into their head, and it gets triggered when they go in the elevator down to work, that they don't remember who they are upstairs.
Yeah.
And they just know their reality at work. And then when they leave, the chip gets triggered again, and they don't remember what happened to work.
And you see there's a subtle thing you do with the lens when Adam Scott's going down the elevator, and... I don't know what it is. I don't technically understand it, but something happens where you can see the focal point kind of change just a little bit, enough to know that they've gone through a transformation. So everyone's severed from what's happening to them in the top of the world. And there are so many analogies to that, which is why would these people choose to do that? And one of the things, and I might be fishing here, but it very much felt to me like, oh, there's so many things it's analogous to, but one of them is... like alcohol or drugs, people that something happened in their life, they want to disassociate from it. And anyone who's had issues with drugs or alcohol knows that there's a reason you're doing that. You want to be somebody else because being who you are and feeling that's too painful. And it's just really, there's like 35 different scholars could talk about all the different things that are brought up in one way or another in Severance.
And that's all Dan Erickson, the creator, the writer, it was the first script that he had produced. It was a spec script he had sent around. And Jackie Cohn at our company, Red Hour, read it and thought it was good. And I read it.
That's a spec script?
That was a spec script, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's good to know, right? For aspiring writers. And he had this amazing idea and this amazing facility in terms of how, the tone of his writing. But I agree with you. There's that analogy. Just the idea for me also of these people are like coming into work and doing their thing and having their banter and kind of, it's very like kind of, like an office comedy kind of vibe, but they don't know who they are. They don't know why they're there, and they don't know what they're doing. To me, that's like the life analogy.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're all here, and we get settled in and we figure out how to get through and do it, but like we don't ultimately know what it's all about. So I thought that was what was always resonated
and the work they're doing is so, it's really funny. The work they're doing on their computer screens is hilariously, it is analogous to how a lot of people feel about their jobs.
Yeah.
I'm here moving these numbers around.
Kind of widgets and
Widgets.
Yeah.
I don't, and it doesn't make sense. When I watch it, it doesn't make sense. But when someone does it, they're like, good for you, you did it. And I think many people, many Americans watching it would say, no, that's what it feels like at work.
Yeah.
You know,
My daughter was role-playing going to work the other day. I said, what do you do for work? And she goes, I push buttons.
yes.
Yeah.
She's going to go far, that kid.
Well, Dan worked at a door factory when he came out to LA, and that was where he got the idea because he was just going crazy every day working at this door factory, and he wanted to forget about it.
It is a great message for people that, you know, there are a lot of people that say, oh, it's all who you know. And it's like, no, if you have a really good story to tell and a great idea and you write it, the truth does out. The cream does rise to the top. If you put something out there that's of real quality, it's going to bounce around and someone like you is going to find it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to get the access for people, you know, to get that script in someone's hands. But I feel like in this business, everybody's always looking for that next thing, you know, always looking for talent, looking for something that they're going to read and is going to excite them and feel new and different. And that's just always going to be.
Also, this cast you have. I mean, I mentioned Adam Scott and Britt Lauer is amazing and incredible in it. But also, you've got John Turturro. You've got Christopher Walken. I mean, you've got, and there's something really fascinating about this show, which is that people naturally, when they work together, want to create community. And there's something happening here at Lumen where they kind of really don't want people talking. They don't want people getting too close to each other.
Right.
And that's another mystery. And I think the reward of a show like this is that you get really smart fans online, and there are so many of them that are all arguing about what does this mean. And Eduardo, when I came in, Eduardo was Eduardo, you said,
Don't fuck this.
Don't fuck this up. This is Severance, man. Don't fuck this up. And I'm like, well, Ben Stiller has been around a long time, and we could shoot the shit about a lot of things, and I do intend to spend half the time talking about Severance. You're like, you don't fuck it up.
By the way, Eduardo, I totally get it. I know Conan a long time.
He's seen me fuck up a lot of stuff. But I read an interview with Patricia Arquette, who's amazing in the show, and she has this quote about you as a director. It was just about your tenacity, how hard you work, how important it is to you that you get it right. It was really lovely.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Well, she's amazing. I mean, yeah, you know, I think we're all going through life and I feel like a kinship, seriously, to you, Conan, because I know how hard you work and how much it means to you, but you're also trying to figure out the work-life balance, which is part of the show too. And that's important too. And I hope over the years, I don't know, last 20, 30 years that I've figured out that a little bit more because, you know, you have to, there's a point where you work it, but then you also have to also then be able to step back and go, okay, I can only control so much.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I've heard tell you can only control so
I feel
much.
like I've learned the hard way, you know?
Well, but I will say on a personal note, like when you walk in the door, you seem happy.
Yeah.
And I know that you're someone who, you know, one of the, maybe the subtitle of this podcast could be, sometimes I want it to be careful who you envy. Like I want to talk to people and let everyone know everyone's got shit. Everyone has got things that they're dealing with. And predominantly I get to talk to people like yourself who are very talented and have done this amazing work. And you're trying to figure out most of the things that everyone else is trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And so when you walked in after all these years to see that you look great, you seem happy, this is incredible work you're doing. And I love that you're able to say to yourself, yeah, I can go back and be in something again. I think you're going to go back and maybe do a cameo in...
I'm doing Happy Gilmore. I've got this little movie I did with David Gordon Green called Nutcrackers. It's on Hulu. And that we did super low budget and it was really fun. Yeah. I mean,
but you can dip into that when you want, but you can enjoy this and also enjoy your life.
Yes. Well, that's the big part of it. Enjoying your life. I mean, and that's
And you and I are talking about it as if we don't know what that is.
I know exactly.
We've heard tell of this life thing. My agent tells me my children are thriving.
You guys are severed.
Yeah, we are severed. We don't know what's happening. I think I'm told I have kids. I have to go up in the elevator and
No,
that guy
and,
will know.
it's your kids are older too. I mean, my daughter's 22, my son's 19, and they will tell you, they'll give you feedback.
Oh, yeah.
On how you're doing, and I appreciate it. And we've actually, like working on the documentary, I interviewed both my kids and Christine, and we talked about stuff that's worked in our lives and stuff that hasn't worked in our lives, and my kids were very honest with me, about times when I put my work in front of the family.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that I'm in a place now where I still have these relationships with them that we can work on and talk about that stuff and adjust because it's true, it's cliche, but it's true. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all really about. My joy comes from working and being creative, but sharing that with my family. And if you going home and not having anybody to share that with, I've had that because Christine and I were separated for a few years.
That's right.
And if that's the right thing for people, sometimes that's the right thing. But for me, being together with her and our family being together, I'm so much more appreciative of it. So I feel really grateful.
Well, I am delighted for you. I'm really delighted.
I figured it all out. I have no problems. And
why are you crying? You're crying as you say it, and it's tears of blood. It's just fucking weird. I just figured it all out. Ben, just absolute joy to see you again. And
you too, man.
I'm so delighted for you. I really am. I'm genuinely, and I have a very just nice, funny little memory of, I lived predominantly on the Upper West Side for years, all those years I was doing late night. And for some reason, I would always run into your mom on the Upper West Side. And she was so lovely to me and such a real person on the Upper West Side.
Yes.
Such an Upper West Side.
And a fan of yours. She loved.
Oh, she was absolutely, we Catholics have to stick up for each other.
By the way, I just have to say also, there is one scene at the end of the last episode of season 2 of Severance that I'm really looking forward to you seeing. Because I feel like you, of all people,
I will text you.
Yeah, no, will appreciate this little scene.
Okay.
And it might even seem to others who watch it maybe weird or indulgent, but I feel like it's made for you.
If it's weird and indulgent, if it's weird and indulgent, I'm going to love it.
All right, good.
That's what you are, weird and indulgent.
Okay, I think I spelled it out enough.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Ben, thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
And congrats on Severance.
Great to see you. Thanks, man.
I heard you were working on a documentary about your parents. I grew up watching your parents, the great Ann Mira, Jerry Stiller, and I remember they were kind of ubiquitous when I was a kid. I thought they were really funny. I'd see them on Love American Style, or they'd be in ads.
Yeah.
And I just knew, these are these really funny people, but I didn't know exactly who they were. And then later on, they came on the show in their own right. Of course, your dad was on Seinfeld, very well known that way. And
yeah, I mean, they were a comedy team, and they started in the late 50s, early 60s, and were two young actors who met and fell in love, got married really quickly, and then became starving actors in New York. And after 5 or 6 years, tried to figure out a way that they could make some money. And my dad was the guy who always wanted to be a comedian, grew up during the Depression, idolized Eddie Cantor, people like that. And my mom just wanted to be a serious actress, but she was really funny and really talented. And my dad had this idea that they should do an act, so he pulled her into it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
did they do Sullivan and all those shows?
They did. Yeah,
Wow.
they did.
Okay.
Ed Sullivan. I think it's 30. I always get it wrong. It's 36 or 37 times.
Wow.
And it kind of made their career.
Yes.
And that's a big,
I had a memory. I have a sense memory of them because there was that era where a comedy team could come into people and talk about half the country would be watching them do a routine.
No, I mean, it was, that's part of the story is that, the pressure that was on them as live performers, which, a pressure, as, doing what you do. But for them, not like every time they went out, they had to get re-invited back by Sullivan, and they had to do well. So, that was, and they had to do like 5, it wasn't like 2 minutes. It was like 6 or 7 minutes,
It's hard for people to know now because there's an infinite number of outlets. So there's no such thing as, well, I came on Conan, or I came on one of Conan's late night show a couple of years ago, and he wasn't pleased, so we're through in the business. Well, no. There's a billion other places to go. There's no such thing as, you're through, kid, you displeased me.
Right.
But this was a different era where if Sullivan didn't like you, and there was a problem, that was it. That could be it.
Yeah, and luckily he liked them. They did a number of different, sketches every time they come out, but then they finally hit on this one sketch where basically they played off the fact that my dad was Jewish, my mom was Irish Catholic, and they had, it's these two characters meeting off of computer dating, and it was Hershey Horowitz and Mary Elizabeth Doyle.
Funny now. Still funny.
And it was controversial at the time because, they didn't know if people would go for it. But Ed Sullivan's wife, he was Catholic, but his wife was Jewish.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he loved it. And that was sort of, he kept on inviting them back. And that's, but, you're in the documentary because there are so many, these talk show appearances. I'm kind of also looking at it through the lens of, for me over the years being asked about them, and so many times and really trying to figure out like, well, what is it like? What was it like being their son? Who were they? What was, what's the core of what my experience was with them as parents, and stuff I never really questioned until you start doing something like this and you start looking into it. But we went on with you once, and there was a bit that I was sick and my mom was taking care of me, and my mom and dad came out with me on the show.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. And then I have to tell you another thing too. So I've been working on this thing for like 4 years, and as a documentary develops, you start to, I've never made a documentary before. And what I'm learning is that as it goes along, you start to figure out really what it's about through the process of editing. Yeah. And then you think it's one thing for like a year or two, and then you realize, oh no, I got to have more of this story, or, I have to have more. For me, it's been more of like, personally, like really like getting into like what's my experience with them, because I'm the one making the movie. And we figured out this part of it that I've always felt, which was my dad on Seinfeld was he was so angry, right? And that was what was so funny, was to see him blow up and scream and
so
yell.
Funny shouting. Yes.
Yeah, amazing. And I always felt it was because he had all this suppressed inner rage in him that he kind of kept down. He loved my mom. They were like, he was the most loving, generous guy, but he had to sublimate a lot. And over the years, doing their act together, the sort of the dynamic between them was that she would kind of like, shut him up a lot, like, Jerry, stop talking. Yeah. And I have all these clips, from the 70s of them on all these talk shows doing that. And I thought, when he finally hit it on Seinfeld, it was because he was able to let out all of that inner, all that inner.
Makes sense, yeah.
And I was trying to find a soundbite to sort of, explain that, where he talked about it. And I couldn't find one. And I was driving home. This was like literally like a month ago. I'm driving home and I put on, your Sirius XM station. And it's literally, it's a clip of my dad on the show, on your show. And you're asking him about, Costanza and why is he so funny? And my dad said, this was like literally, he says, as I turn it on, he says, it's because I had all this inner rage.
Jesus! Oh my God.
Yeah. And I literally like pulled the car over and like, texted my editor, and isn't that insane?
That's fantastic.
And we pulled the clip out, and it's in the movie along with the other thing.
Well, I don't give you permission to use it.
That's actually why I'm here.
And I'm editing this part out of the podcast.
Let's come up with a number, gang.
I need
Conan. That is. That's
honestly,
great. That's
I felt
great.
like it was my dad and the ether or something. Just like this moment was happening.
Well, first of all, I love that. I love that, and I do think that it was so nice that your dad got to have that role. And then he's in King of Queens after that. And so he has this whole...
it changed
And
his
there's
life.
a whole generation that knows him from that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Which is sweet.
He always wanted that. You know, he had so much success with my mom, but then there was a period of time after, you know, when being a comedy team was not something that was as viable in show business. You know, as you go into the 80s and the 90s, it's not like there's shows that are, you know, like the Merv Griffin show or that Sullivan show. It's just so they were having to figure out their careers separately. And then, you know, Seinfeld happened for him in his 70s, and it changed, you know, it just fulfilled everything that he'd wanted. And my mom, it wasn't as important to her because she was, I think, happier to kind of stay at home and write and, you know, read biographies, do the Sunday Times crossword puzzle. But my dad, that's what it was, you know, if he was so connected to the audience, to being recognized, it meant so much to him.
Yes.
Because he was so deprived as a kid. His parents, he had such a tough child. His dad was a cab driver. You know, they moved 13 different times when he was a kid over the course of a few years. And, you know, so he was just like both loving and needy, but like in the most generous way. And, you know, they would like, someone come up to him on the street and, you know, recognize him. He'd be with my mom and he'd talk to them for like 15 minutes. And my mom would be like, Jerry, let's get the fuck out of here. Come on.
This guy knows me.
No, exactly.
I'll do a dance for you, whatever you want. Boy, do I relate to that.
Yeah. I didn't get any of that, by the way.
Now, you had this period of time where you were working on the TV show Punk'd.
Yes.
And I'm fascinated by
That was my
this.
first on-camera job, and that was just still my favorite job I've ever had.
And why was it your favorite job?
Because I love pranks. I've always loved pranks. That's my version of, you know, Mindy lies. I actually do the work, not judging.
Right. She can just say, oh, that person
since
owns
high school,
Flemish armor, but he doesn't.
I love pranks. And here was a job where a professional team set up the prank for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you just knock the pins down. It was unbelievable. And Ashton Kutcher, you know, this was I was 23, 24. I had only been in the writer's room. I'd started doing stand-up a couple years ago. I suddenly got some heat as a stand-up. I killed my audition, and I'm here with Ashton Kutcher, who loomed so large, especially at that moment. Now he's sort of an icon that has graduated. He's been around forever, but he was just bursting.
Yeah.
Like cover of People magazine every week. So cool. And I was like this comedy writer still wearing the kind of pleated khakis that you wear when you grow up in Boston. And he was like in my earpiece.
I'm wearing those right now, you asshole.
What to say to these pop stars that would freak them out. I mean, it was, as someone who loved pranks, it was a dream come true.
Now, your job as a performer was to play the reality of the prank.
Yeah.
And
it was great acting training because
Yes,
you have to be convincing and funny, and you get one take.
Yeah, and you cannot
Or you're
indicate
fired.
the joke, which is, as everyone knows who's worked in comedy, actually they don't know it, but they should know it. Don't indicate the joke. It ruins it when you're indicating
And
that
since
something
I've
funny's
directed
happened.
comedy, a lot of people show up, great actors, great dramatic actors show up ready to do comedy. And they don't realize that by that philosophy that we both subscribe to, no, play the drama. Get the comedy deep down, but you play that reality. As soon as you play the comedy, it's not funny.
Well, I think it's what Steve Carell did so brilliantly was he's a brilliant actor.
Yes.
And he played every moment with complete honesty.
Yes.
As Michael Scott.
He could you could write him the most insane thing for a human being that no human being grills his foot on a George Foreman grill because he wants to wake up to the smell of bacon and then tells his office to treat him as a handicapped person.
Right.
But when he performs that, you buy it.
Right.
You see how a human being could do that.
And he's not rubbing his hands before the scene to say, how do I make this funny?
I think he is deep down. I think he has a writer brain that's coming up with the funny things to say, but then his actor heart is you know, playing the drama of this human being and this terrible situation in that character's mind, you know.
When you were doing these pranks on Punk'd, was there ever a moment where, because you can't break, I mean, you're not supposed to break in sketches, but people do. But if you're part of a prank and you're pretending to be someone who, you know, is a barista or someone who's working the counter at a restaurant. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to play that reality and you can't start giggling or the entire thing is ruined.
Yeah.
Was that ever a problem?
Yeah, I almost never. I think I'm a little too serious when I do comedy. I think that if you watch The Office bloopers, I'm almost never breaking. And I wish I had brought myself to the level of being about to break a lot, because I do think a lot of great comedy comes at that teetering edge. But I didn't generally have a problem with that, but I did watch something where I saw my face just bite my cheek to not break. And there was one outrageous, my mom hated Punk'd. But there was one outrageous one where Rachel Lee Cook was the actor. And she, so they always find like their vulnerability or their obsession. So she and Jonathan Tucker, who's a friend of mine now, was the accomplice. So he brought her to a restaurant. She volunteered with the elderly. And we got a stunt man to be the waiter, like a forgetful waiter that kept messing up her order. And I was an asshole manager of the restaurant that was abusive to this elderly waiter and screamed at him for messing up the order, and then eventually started throwing him against the wall because he's a stunt guy. And
Sure.
It's so violent. And yeah, watching that, I laugh now because I can't believe that we would do such a thing.
First of all, you just described my favorite day ever. It would be a joy for me
To beat the elderly.
Yes.
well, to beat up people. It's so funny
But
because
to do these things and have to convince someone it's real.
Yes, it's real.
What you were saying, the acting training is amazing, because you have to be funny enough you're improvising,
Yes.
because you're making up the stuff. You have to be completely convincing, so the other person in the scene thinks this is the worst day of their life. And it's a high wire act because you have one take.
I'm not a natural prankster. I don't think that's something that I was built for. I worry a lot that someone will get hurt or
that
upset.
apparently was not my problem.
I just do not have that. But the couple of times in my career that the writers have come up with something where I get to kind of inhabit that niche, I've been so happy. And my writers came up with something once that was a great idea, which is, let's get a really good prosthetic person to make me up to be someone who doesn't look anything like me, and then I will run a focus group.
That's great.
To show people Conan O'Brien, people who wouldn't really know me.
How did you disguise yourself?
We got a really good prosthetic person who added a lot of weight and age to me, and I did not look like me. I don't know if you remember this.
I do remember it. I loved it.
And I was dealing with a lot of older people, and I was showing them. We intentionally picked stuff where I'm jumping around or doing the string dance and the monologue. We cut together this thing that would just look very alienating, and I was showing them this stuff, and they really didn't like it, and they were saying, "Well, we don't like this person." And then I started to egg them on by saying, well, here he is. I don't like to tell tales out of school, but...
Why would a focus group leader
I did.
gossip like that?
I did, but I started to
That's
tell
why
them.
it's funny,
I
yeah.
started to gossip with them a little bit about how I heard Conan O'Brien's not a good guy. And they were like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm not here to say things, and you didn't hear it from me, and this is just between you, me, and the fence post. I kept making up these crazy, stupid things. This is between you, me, and the fence post, but I'll tell you that I had dated Cher, and then I dumped her. And they were like, he dumped Cher? And they were livid. And I'm like, well, again, you didn't hear it but from me. I'm as quiet as an aardvark and an onion, but I'll tell you this much. And I was just trying, but I was so happy. And I would go on long tangents. And then I would say things that I heard about Conan O'Brien that were really kind of not great, other shitty things. And I had so much fun, and I understood the joy of getting to do that.
Yeah.
Getting to be...
You had a whole crew helping you. But
Yeah.
that's really, you carried that.
Well, it was so much fun.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
so much fun, but I understand, because I grew up with brothers, I've always been someone who likes to roughhouse, to use a term probably no one uses anymore, because it's just a cute way of saying physical abuse. But I loved roughhousing, still love roughhousing, and so the idea of,
No,
I will wrestle you
Okay.
before this is over, and you'll be very uncomfortable.
Rainn Wilson always wanted to wrestle with me.
Yeah.
During The Office.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I
look easy to beat. I think someone who hasn't wrestled in a while is like, why don't I start with you and then move on to Krasinski's bodyguard?
Whenever I was in a sketch with people, whenever I was in a sketch that called for me to punch someone and throw them through a wall, or for me to get punched and get thrown through a wall, to this day, even at my age, I would sign up for in a second. I absolutely love it. It makes me so happy when show business involves being a kid. Basically,
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
And when someone like builds a fake wall, I mean, it's so great when a crew goes to such serious effort for you to do something so ridiculous.
So many hilarious people are part of that show. And my son, who has, I think, excellent comedy taste in that he doesn't like what I'm doing, but really loves great shows. I've walked into the room and he's watching The Office and he's mouthing along. He knows it. He has memorized The Office.
Yeah.
And that's kind of his comedy Bible, that and The Simpsons. And I think that's great taste because what a spectacular show.
There is a music to it, or there must be, that people learn it by watching it again and again, the way you listen to a song, I guess. And it has no laugh track
Right.
and no music to it. So the dialogue, I think, becomes sort of the rhythm of it. But I learned all my comedy lessons from Greg Daniels, being in that room. And the care he has these sayings that maybe you have too, or I know you guys came up together, maybe you developed them together, but one phrase was, you don't eat your seed corn. Maybe he said that from The Simpsons. Like, you can make a joke in which it's like a farming term,
Right.
that you don't sell out a character for a great joke in the moment, because you're going to need that character later. The attention to the people, to the realism. He also, in terms of it being evergreen, one time someone mentioned a year, and he said, and the show was not popular at this point, and he said, let's try to never mention the year, so that it doesn't jar people if they're ever watching it in syndication, or we didn't even know about Netflix then, you know. So I learned everything from him.
Yeah, I think there's proof that there's that old saying, God is in the details, that and there's a philosophy that if you I first saw it with SCTV when I was a young lad. My brothers and I would watch SCTV, and that's where I saw John Candy and Catherine O'Hara and Martin Short and Eugene Levy, all these people. And they put so much thought into the comedy, and they would put little Easter eggs in there. And if you were paying attention, you were rewarded for paying attention. And I think doing that does not guarantee that your show will be successful.
Well, it's all the braver to do that, because you feel so embarrassed if your show doesn't succeed.
Right.
And you put so much into these details.
Yeah.
And everyone's always telling you focus on the big picture. And if you love what you do, you love focusing on those little things.
Also, I think if a show makes it or doesn't make it is so random. Great, brilliant shows have been canceled all the time. And if they survive, it's almost just sometimes an evolutionary fluke. And so I think it's good to put all that work. But I think there's into it. But there are people out there that think that all great shows make it, and they don't.
Well,
so many of them get strangled in the
Can I
crib.
actually push back somewhat on that? Because part of the reason I wanted to work in television when I was like a teenager was I realized the most popular shows right now in the 90s, the most popular shows are The Simpsons and Seinfeld. And these are the smartest shows I have ever seen.
Right.
And they're number one in America. And it wasn't true for movies. It wasn't true for music.
Right, that's true.
The obvious best things were more niche in other fields. They survived, but they were niche. And I thought, that's where I want to work, where you can actually make the best thing, and it might be the most popular thing. So I see that a lot.
I think it did change. I do think because
It changed after that,
I
you
came
think?
up. I came up in the 70s and 80s, and
But I
so
watched
many,
Three's Company the other day, and there's some great... There's quality in even you're glaring at me. There's quality. Maybe I watched a really good one, but
I
there's-
wasn't glaring at you. This is me aroused.
But there are things.
I'm very titillated by
when you
this.
had to have a hard joke and hit your marks comedically.
Yeah.
It kept people very honest. And
Yes.
on The Office, there had been, now I brought it back to me again, there had been so few or almost no or maybe no successful single cam shows without a laugh track.
Right.
And we were terrified that we would become, and we watched, single cam shows that we didn't think were great and analyzed, like, we're not laughing out loud. We need to be as hard joke as you are with a laugh track, or like you had with a live audience.
Right.
And those shows that had a live audience, they had to get the laugh. Now, they also faked the laugh. There was a lot of junk, But there's more to that stuff than I used to think, because I hadn't seen that stuff.
I think, I think you are right that shows, I guess when I grew up, I saw a lot of brilliant shows that I really loved would never last that long.
Like what?
And, I loved The Night Stalker with Darren McGavin. I thought it wasn't a comedy show, but it had comedic elements to it, but it was just a brilliant show, and I think it lasted a season. Marty Feldman had a summer replacement show that I loved that was just around for the summer. There were things that would come along that were great, and then, The Love Boat and Chips.
Right, okay.
And I've gotten into this. Bill Burr loves Chips, and we've had it out because I maintain that Chips is a war crime, and and he absolutely adores it. And we've gotten into it, and I think I proved him wrong. Bill, if you're out there, you know you're wrong. But
He's out there.
They were solving jewel heists on the highway while on motorcycles. But that's not the point. There was just way too much disco music. That's another thing that bothered me.
Stop before you go on for a very long
Okay. Anyway, there were a lot of bad shows that were the number one show when I was growing up.
And
But you're right,
Mr. Show meant in sketch comedy. Mr. Show changed my life, and that was a small show. Nathan For You is my favorite show the past few years. Now that has been building a cult audience, as Mr. Show has too.
Yes, those shows. I think we live in an era now where if you put the work in and the quality's there, people will find it. It used to be a show, when it was gone, it was gone. There was not even, in for a long time, you couldn't even get a cassette of it or a DVD. Now
we have cassettes of it.
Now we have cassettes and DVDs. And that's proof that I know what's happening today. Proof.
You're so with it.
Thank you. I got to get out of here. I got to do some blow.
What?
And some lewds, don't forget.
And some lewds. No, I know what I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I do think that, Nathan For You is absolute perfection. And I do think that that's something that eventually everyone's going to find.
Yeah.
It's got to knock around for a while, but it will.
Sometimes you got to knock around for a while. But I do think that TV, more than other art forms, TV comedy more than other art forms, does reward quality. Not universally, you can't count on it, and you're not always given the chance to find it. The Office was almost canceled a lot. I know from stalking and circling you that your show was on the brink late night forever.
We were always just about to be canceled, or I think there was actually a meeting where we were canceled, and then they, at the end of the meeting, were like, okay, we can't cancel him just yet for tax reasons, but we'll get to it in the next meeting. Let's make sure we cancel him.
I love when your bosses are lazy sometimes. You know what I mean? Like they take the weekend off too. They can be like, oh, let's just leave it alone.
Well, that was one of the things that helped us was, I think it's much tougher for you guys because you're in prime time, but when you're in late night, especially in those early years, 93, 94, 95, we're on every night at 12:30 at night. A lot of people that are making the decisions, they're all in Los Angeles. We were in New York. They're not watching it. And so there's this general sense that that kid, I hate that kid. Let's get rid of him. Stupid hair, stupid name. Let's get rid of him. All right, we'll get rid of him. Wait a minute. There's trouble with Suddenly Susan. We got to talk about that. Okay. And then I would, it helped to be way over in the corner knocking around at 12:30. That was quite helpful, I think, to our survival.
Yeah.
We both come from these goofy towns in Massachusetts.
By the way, I used to say I'm from Boston
Yeah.
until I saw Wahlburgers. I've seen every episode of Wahlburgers. And I'm like, oh my God, I am not from Boston. Like, if I ever ran into any... And Mark Wahlberg was like, oh, you're from Boston? What part? And I'd be like, the thing is, Mark, I was like, this is the most exotic place I've ever seen. That's Boston. So I'm from Massachusetts.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. I'm from Massachusetts as well.
Wahlburgers is, I have seen it is a fascinating show. Anyway.
Is it still out there?
No,
Wahlburgers?
but you can find it.
All right. Get.
It's like Nathan For
Hey,
You.
listen,
It's going to build.
If you take one thing away from this episode, it's watch Wahlburgers.
So the thing about Wahlburgers, anyway, but yes, Alma, the mom, thinks Donnie Wahlberg is like the biggest star in the world, and that Mark is still trying to ride his coattails.
Yeah, she
and
doesn't know.
there's no convincing Alma. Like, and Mark has this huge chip on his shoulder. He's so competitive. He's the youngest of, I think, 9 or 11. And he's always trying to best his brother. Still on the show, he sets up these whole episodes to show how he can kick his brother's ass in golf. And it's like, you're Mark Wahlberg, but he won't stop. Like, the show doesn't know what it's really about. They think it's about a restaurant, but it's about these unbelievable family dynamics and what powers a phenomenon like Mark Wahlberg. But yes,
it's always about the hamburger restaurant.
I'm here to
That's
plug
the message in life.
I'm here to plug a canceled A&E show. Is my point.
Donnie's bigger for me.
Yeah,
because I'm a big NKOTB fan.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's where it's at. Mark is never going to build up to that.
Okay, model.
Yeah.
So my parents, they've had the same house in Brookline that basically they took me home as a baby, and it's just the house that I've been in my whole life. My parents have been there, and all my brothers and sisters. And when New Kids on the Block was a huge phenomenon in the 80s. Late 80s.
New Kids to us is like what Billy Joel is if you're from like Long Island. For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stories, there's legends. No, for real.
So anyway, Donnie and I think 2 of them bought a house in Brookline, in this nice part of Brookline, and they had this house and they lived there, and girls used to hang around outside the house to try and go see New Kids on the Block. Mm-hmm. And when I got my late night show, 93, there's still a big deal.
Yeah.
And a year or 2 goes by, or 3, and I was always kind of wondering, they've got people hanging around outside their house.
Yeah.
When are people going to start hanging around my parents' house?
You thought that was going to happen.
I thought it was going to happen. And then once there was some, like,
so you're hanging around outside to see who comes by?
There were 2 teenagers hanging outside our house, and my parents told me, there's some people here that want to come say hi to you. And I went, well, I guess, And I went out, and they said, yeah, we were hanging outside the New Kids on the Block house for a long time, and they didn't come out. So we got really bored and came over here.
Oh, no. You got their leftovers.
And they literally we didn't even need you to come out. Well, I'm here. You want some pictures? You want some pictures? No, we're good. Do you know how we could get into the New Kids' house? I really don't, but I could take you guys out to lunch. No, we've eaten, and we're lactose intolerant. Oh, do you want to come back later? No, we're good. Conan, invite them in. Ma, they don't want to come in. They want to hang around the New Kids on the Block house.
In 99.
In 99.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my story, and tells you where I'm coming from. You talk in the book that you say that your favorite, and you've had so many great jobs. I mean, you in your life, you achieved all these great dreams. You said your favorite job ever was being governor of California.
Yeah.
All-time favorite job.
It was the toughest job. The toughest job, without any doubt, because to bring 120 legislators together and make them agree on anything, it's kind of like impossible. But we made it possible. We figured it out. And I think that to serve 40 million people and to be the governor of the greatest state in the union, greatest state in the country, out of 50 states, California is by far the greatest state with the most revenues and the most power, the most diversity in order. Unbelievable. And not only that, but we are actually now the 4th largest economy in the world. So to be governor of that, it's just unbelievable, the responsibility. And you learn a lot. I mean, it was the most extraordinary learning experience to sit in that Capitol and to have meetings. Think about that. You have a meeting from 9 to 10 with the nurses union, and they want to have a better ratio between patients and nurses. If for every 4 patients, 1 nurse, rather than for every 6 patients, 1 nurse. Mm-hmm. And I never even heard of that before, the ratio. So you learn about all of that and what is it that nurses go through and why is it important? Because when they lift a patient from the operating table, under their bed, those 2 women cannot sometimes do it if it's a heavier patient. So they need a male patient there. So they were fighting also to have male patients that they're a little stronger to lift the
Male
patient.
nurses,
so
yeah,
all of
yeah.
this, so all of this stuff I've never even heard of those debates. Then the prison guards come in and say we're working so much overtime that we need to have more prison guards. We need to hire more, and we have to have more salaries and more wages and more benefits and all that. So they talk about that issue. Then the teachers come in, the teachers union. They talk about the teaching and the challenges teachers go through. Then the people that represent the kids come in. So this is how it goes on and on and on from morning to night. And it's always issues that you have not really been aware of. So in the beginning, it was kind of like a university where you study new subjects and new issues all the time, and you become so smart with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I had one advantage, and that was I was not a real ideologue. Yes, I was conservative. Yes, I'm a Republican. But I'm not stuck in this ideological corner. And I didn't look at the Democrats as the enemy. I always felt kind of like in order to make this work, you have to have Democrats and Republicans work together.
Yeah.
So we worked together and we figured out what is it that we can do together, and then let's fight over the other issues.
People are so hungry for that.
Yeah,
right
and so
now.
that is really what we did, and that's why we were able to build all this infrastructure, and why we were able to do the redistricting reform and get rid of gerrymandering, and why we were able to go and pick so many minority judges and women and all of this. So we were able to do things in the environmental issues that we tackled. I mean, it's the only state that really reduced its greenhouse gases, its pollution by 25% within 10 years. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of great stuff that was going on, but together, Democrats and Republicans together did this work. Not me, not the Republicans, but Democrats and Republicans.
Here's what really I took away from your book and what you're saying right now is early in your career, it's you. And you are in a situation where you can control your body. You can control what you do to your body and how you build your body. You can be in full control as a bodybuilder. Then control was very important to you when you got into movies. How can I prepare myself? What roles are right for me? What roles are wrong for me? If I'm going to do a comedy, what should that comedy be? And what would the best way for me to, how could I best show my humor? What would work? Who's the best this? Who's the best that? When you become governor, you put yourself in a situation where a governor can do so much. It's almost like you willfully put yourself in a situation where you don't have a lot of control. There's a lot you can't control when a job is that big. Do you think there was some part of you that was pushing you into a situation where you can't control everything? All you can do is try, but there's a lot you can't control.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, but you don't want to.
Yeah.
Because you don't want a dictatorship. You don't want to have one person make all of the decisions because we're not perfect.
Right.
And sometimes that goes overboard and you start going power crazy and stuff like that. So you need always to have a check and balance. I think that's really terrific. But what you can do and where you have total control over is motivating people to move forward and to do great things. So it doesn't matter what your philosophy is, but to say, we must sit down, guys. We got to build more highways and freeways, more tunnels and bridges, more on-ramps and off-ramps, more school buildings, more university buildings, affordable housing. Let's do it. We can do it. So now they go, oh, this is great. And they sit down and you can motivate. So you become kind of the motivator and the force behind bringing people together and creating a vision. Like I said in the book, visualizing is the most important thing. I had very clear visions. Of course, crazy visions of what California can be. I told them, I visualize, every city having 1,000 cranes. And we are building and building and building new dams, new highways, new this, new that, new that. And it was a crazy vision, but you have to have a vision. But it motivated them to sit down and that we were able to do $60 billion of infrastructure, half of what I wanted, but we did it. And so this is really the great thing. So I think that one thing we have control over is motivating. And that's one of the things I feel like is missing today. There is no one in Washington that is really rallying up the troops and is motivating them and becoming kind of like the motivational kind of force behind it to bring people together, because there's a way of doing it. There's a way of doing it. People are not saying, I don't want to get together with the other side. I think you just need someone that motivates them and really make it attractive and kind of like talk to them and communicate the right way. And so this is, I think, there's certain powers that we do have that I was able to use. And I was always a positive person. You know me. I mean, it was never kind of like, I always see the world kind of like Norman Rockwell. You know, Norman Rockwell, he always painted everything that was fun.
Kind of optimistic,
right? Exactly,
and fun.
optimistic and fun and colorful and stuff. So that's the way that's the lens that I look through when I look at America or when I look at any of the issues or the problems, anything. It's always through that lens. I see it bright, don't see it dark and black and white or anything like this. I always see it bright, and there's a bright future ahead. And I think that to me, is much more helpful than always being depressed and like say, oh my God, things are terrible, things are going downhill and all that.
Yeah. I was very impressed too, which I didn't realize in the book, is you had surgery that was supposed to be routine just a couple of years ago, and something went very wrong in the surgery, and it was touch and go.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was really pissed off.
And
I can tell you that. I mean, think about it. You go in there.
I was pissed off that I had a life and death experience.
No, but I mean, think about it. I mean, you go in there and they say it's a 2-hour procedure.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know is you wake up and they say, okay, this is 16 hours later.
Yeah.
And you're trying to talk. And you go, They say, well, no, don't try to talk, Arnold. You still have this thing.
They put a tube in your throat.
In your throat. And so they now put the tube out of my throat. I'm coughing. And they say, all right, let us explain to you. Things went south. We punctured through the hard wall with the wire. Accidentally. This was the wire that's supposed to go up and remove your old valve, aortic valve. And then the other wire was supposed to replace that and put a new aortic valve in. But by accident, we punctured through the wall, and it created internal bleeding that we had to do an emergency opening of your rib cage, rip everything open very quickly, otherwise you would have died. And now we had to then do this and this and that. Then we, by accident, also damaged the other valve, and this is how it went on. And so now, 16 hours later, but we saved you. I say, well, that is really fantastic. So I had to kind of like what I call their shifting gears.
Yeah.
I had to shift gears because now this thing like going in the afternoon, then out and having a good time was out the window. Now I'm trying to survive.
And this is just to reiterate, you thought you were going in for orthoscopic thing, and then you go home that night and have your pizza and pet your donkey, and then you wake up 16 hours later and they took all of your insides out and put them back in upside down.
That's right, exactly. So I mean, so this is what happened. And so now you have to shift gears because now you have to say, when they tell you that you're not out of the woods yet, because what happens a lot of times, they say, is you can die because of pneumonia. Mm-hmm. And so this is why it's very important that within a day, you must get out of bed and you got to go and start walking to really get lung exercises, because that's what usually trips you up. And so it's very, very important. And so I now start setting my mind, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to get out of bed. As soon as they wheel me from this station over to my bedroom, I'm going to get out of the bed, no matter what. And I'm going to start walking. And so this becomes like the mission, to start walking. I don't want to die because of pneumonia. I've gotten through the surgery and blah, blah, blah. And so, it was kind of a touch and go situation the first few days. But then I got stronger and stronger. And 3 months later, I started with Terminator 6.
Yeah.
I started filming. So 3 months later, I started filming again. They couldn't believe it on the set. And I was back again, working out regularly and all this stuff. So, I think that, again, with the positive way of thinking, and I can do it, and nothing is going to stop me, with that kind of an attitude, I was able to do that.
This book is, I recommend it to everyone, Be Useful, 7 Tools for Life. I recommend it because the quality that comes through again and again and again in this book that's really sweet is humility. You have a lot of humility for someone who is almost like the cartoon representation of you can do it all and achieve everything. You're very, very humble, and you have a lot of empathy for people who maybe don't have some of your qualities or struggle, you have an incredible amount of empathy. And I could see that when you made these videos after January 6th and Ukraine, and that really spoke to me. And I thought, God, I'm happy this man's out there and he's doing this now with his platform.
Well,
so
thank you very much. Thank you. I love being a motivational speaker out there and writing a motivational book and having a motivational newsletter that is out there every day. And to do all of those kind of things, the Pump Club and all this, I felt kind of like I was motivated my whole life by people, and I want to motivate other people now, millions of people around the world. Yeah, that's my mission.
I feel motivated.
So do I.
I don't think you're motivated.
Oh, you don't.
She's not more motivated, but I think I'm motivated.
I'm still stuck in your Haight Ashbury days.
Well, I see that you're motivated. I don't know why Conan is after you. I mean, it's like you're the only woman in this room.
Thank
you. Who is he attacking?
Oh, my God.
Yes. It's like unbelievable.
Yes.
Maybe you're motivated to quit.
You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you. Yes.
I'm going to start a rumor that he has a hostile work environment.
I'll back you up.
It's not a rumor. It's not a rumor.
I will back
That is
you
all
up.
I need right now.
It's not a rumor. It's not a rumor.
It's not the rumor.
It's not a rumor.
Yes.
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, thank you very much. God bless. Whatever you
so
like.
we'll start
Well,
with that.
anyway, so I'm going to read it off there. I just say, hi, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm supposed to comment on what it's like to be Conan's friend. Well, how the fuck would I know? I just walked into this studio and they put a piece of paper underneath me here and they say, go and read this off and comment on what it is like to be Conan's friend. I don't know. I hope it's going to be a fantastic friendship. Where it's a give and take. That's what I hope. But I mean, right now, I just saw him for 2 minutes and we've been kibitzing for a little bit here. But of course, it's not the first time we've seen each other. I mean, we have seen each other many times before. I've done his show before. I always had a good time.
Yeah.
And he was in charge of promoting all my movies.
Yes.
That's why they went through the roof. And all that stuff. So I hope that now I came out with a book called Be Useful, and I hope it does the same with the book. Sell, sell, sell. That's one of the chapters in the book.
I read the book.
Sell, sell, sell.
I read the book.
You're already much more successful.
I don't even think I need
because
to be
of the
here.
book.
No, this could be Goldblum's
We
record.
should let Arnold just keep going because this is fantastic. This is absolutely
Did
fantastic.
I talk too much already?
No, you didn't
this
talk
is
too much at all.
fantastic.
No,
For the next 50 minutes, I'm not going to say anything.
Nobody wants to hear me. They want to hear you.
No, I want to hear you. You were so funny. I listened to you when you were Dana Carvey and this guy's on for the Hans and Franz shtick. You were reading, and you were reading out. You actually invited me, but they had the environmental conference, so I couldn't make it. But that was so funny. I was laughing. There's no comedy movie, to be honest with you, that I have laughed that much than just listening to you
with the Hans and Franz movie.
And
Kevin Nealon,
exactly, and
Robert Smigel,
and exactly. What was the other guy's name?
Robert Smigel.
Robert Smigel.
Yeah.
Smigel.
Smigel.
Yeah. Immer.
That's just making my life right now. We wrote a movie a long time ago. I'm just going to tell the viewers. We wrote a Hans and Franz movie, and it was, and we wrote you as half the movie, even though we hadn't even pitched it to you yet. And it's the most ridiculous movie in the world, and it's a musical. And one of my favorite things is we depicted your house as being two flexed buttocks that open. That you
it was
through.
hilarious.
It was so much fun.
Because I remember there was one scene in there that I still remember from the script where one of my cousins says, I have to go to the bathroom. And he says, so where do I go? And I say, you go right down to the deltoid. And a deltoid, you turn left. And then you will see a huge calf all split in half. You walk through the calf, and then with the 6-pack. I said, if you see an 8-pack, that's not the one. The 6-pack, you go through that door.
We have to make this movie now. We have to make this movie.
And that 6-pack, that is where you walk in, and that's where you go to the bathroom. But this is not a girly man bathroom, okay? So I mean, it was all of this stuff.
It was so silly. And I remembered yesterday I was talking to Robert, and I talked to Dana a lot, and I was telling them, I remembered we wrote a scene where someone passes, and you're very sad, and you're one of the pallbearers, and with all of your friends, and then you get to the grave, and you all start doing lifts with the coffin. It's like, we put all this foolishness in there. It was so much fun.
But it was fantastic.
Well,
it was so well written, and I hope they do it.
Yeah.
I really hope they do it
I'll
because
put
you
up all
still
the
can
money.
do it. You still
I'll put
can
up the
do
money.
it.
I will
you
say
have it now. I mean,
I have it, yes, I have it.
You bought. I mean, they paid you almost $1 billion for this podcast.
$2 billion. $2 billion.
$2 billion.
$2 billion.
Yeah,
It was all Bitcoin.
Are you married?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Then I
yes.
understand twice as much.
My wife said no. It needs to be two.
Have.
You know, I have to say, I'm gonna. There's so much to talk about, but from the first time I worked at Saturday Night Live when you came there and you did a Hans and Franz sketch, and I always was a fan of your movie work. You are so fucking funny. You are hilarious. You are so naturally funny. You can see it in Pumping Iron. You can see it throughout your whole career. Always very funny, really funny. And you came on my show when we were out here in Los Angeles, the late night show, and you prepared. And that's a big part of your book is preparation. But you kept calling our segment producer and saying, I can do better, more before you came on the show. You had so many great jokes. You prepared more than any comedian I think I've ever worked with. You were absolutely fantastic. And then my favorite thing is we wheeled out a real photograph of me in boxer shorts, just boxer shorts that we took before the show. And it was life size. And you tore me apart verbally, my body. You went after my body. And the crowd was laughing so hard, they started stamping their feet. And the fire marshals were worried that they would do structural damage.
Yeah.
It was
I remember that. As a matter of fact, one of the things I remember was that your producer or showrunner, whatever they call it on those late night shows, told me not to throw up. When
Thank you, Frank Smiley.
I said, when they roll out the picture, I said, wouldn't it be great if I just throw up? I said, because I will find something on his body that will be throw upable. You know, so...
and so, you did.
And then he said, you know, he said that would be too gross because it's a late show. We want to entertain people. We don't want to gross them out. Plus, right after you, there is a food commercial, and we don't want people to throw up.
Your big achievement in show business, among many, is looking at my almost naked body and not throwing up. Is that what you're saying?
Dude, that is discipline. And I talk about this and be useful. That is discipline. I mean, I was doing everything that I could, trying to kind of look at, your deltoids, I tried not to look below the belt, and all this kind of thing. So I was doing everything to try to stay as serious as possible and not to throw up.
Wow.
But
congratulations.
But the bottom line is, you have a good body.
Oh.
You look lean.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's the most important thing to stay healthy and to stay alive for a long time.
Okay.
Is to be lean.
Tell me
so you're in the right track.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Arnold. But when you first came into the room, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I looked right in your eyes, and you looked right in my eyes, and you sized me up, and we haven't seen each other in a little while, and I saw in your eyes fear.
God.
Is that correct?
Okay.
Fear.
Throwing up.
No. I saw fear. I saw physical intimidation.
I did not know that that you detected that.
I saw it.
I mean, I was trying to cover up. I was trying to cover up the fear and the intimidation and how little I felt compared to you, career-wise, intelligence-wise, body-wise, definition-wise, size-wise, six-pack-wise, everything. I mean, I said to myself, maybe I can hide my inferiority complex.
Yeah.
But you obviously saw it.
I saw it.
You saw it.
And not that I smelled it. It's a pheromone. You can smell when fear is released into the air. I could smell it. And
absolutely.
I could smell. It's sort of a sausage smell.
Oh yeah.
That's what I could.
Yeah. So to me, it's more like a Wiener Schnitzel smell.